ABC News Time 9:05. Now the forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
Sunny skies and slightly warmer temperatures this afternoon. We'll finish with a high of 45. Partly cloudy, quiet, chilly, but not as cold overnight, a low of 31. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey for 93 WIBC.
Mostly sunny and 29 on Monument Circle. I'm Kirk Darling on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by Pierce Jewelers. Shop local, shop smart, shop Pierce Jewelers.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Wednesday, December 20th. It is 6 minutes after 9. This is the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. My name is Casey Daniels, Rob Kendall with the day off, and Ethan Hatcher joining us in the studio this morning.
Huzzah! Happy to be here once again.
Wait a second. Are you speaking without permission?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did you ask the Colorado Supreme Court if you're allowed to talk? Because apparently right now they're making decisions on what we're allowed to do, how we're allowed to think.
I meant to say Simon says good morning.
Simon says you can talk. Boy, are you kidding me? Are we allowed to choose for ourselves? Are we allowed to think for ourselves?
Once again, I am baffled by the Democrats' move here because surely this is going to be struck down by the Supreme Court on flimsy, non-existent constitutional grounds. The first time the 14th Amendment has ever attempted to be applied this way. And there's a couple of things that stand out to me.
Okay, first of all, let's reset just in case you didn't hear the news.
Set up the audience.
We're talking about the Colorado Supreme Court ruling that Donald Trump is disqualified from holding the presidency, they say under the Constitution's insurrection clause, and they ordered the Secretary of State to exclude his name from the state's Republican presidential primary ballot. The Secretary may not list Trump's name on the 24 ballot, nor may she count any write-in votes cast for him. Now go ahead, give me your thoughts.
Would you like me to read that section of the 14th Amendment to, kind of clarify what the Colorado Supreme Court believes they're applying here?
Well, somebody should read it.
Okay. According to Section 3, no person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or any state who, having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as a member of any state legislature or as an executive of or judicial officer of any state to support the Constitution of the United States shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same or given aid and comfort to the enemies thereof, but Congress may by a vote of 2/3 of each house remove such disability. Okay, so we have Section 3 here, which has to deal with insurrection. It was instituted after the Civil War to deal with those members of Congress and prevent them from retaking the federal government. Okay. Donald Trump hasn't been convicted or charged at any point of insurrection. At best, he is being currently investigated for his involvement in the 2020 election, but that doesn't mean conviction of anything. And so the removal is preemptive. And also, Section 5 explicitly says that the Congress shall have power to enforce by appropriate legislation the provisions of this article. So the Colorado Supreme Court is not the Congress. They're overstepping their authority in the Constitution. This is going to be shot down, which leads me to believe, Casey, that this is wholly intentional by Democrats. Much like the initial indictment, I can't imagine they believe this will be successful and must understand it's going to elevate Trump's prominence. And so they're just betting the whole kit and caboodle here that they can defeat him in the general.
Yep. Okay. So you're correct. Trump was never convicted of insurrection. No one involved in January 6th was convicted of insurrection. Trump was never charged with insurrection. No one involved in January 6th was charged with insurrection. Trump was acquitted on the second impeachment on charges that related to the events of January 6th. So what we see here is that these communists, they're preparing the ground of what's to come. They're calling him a dictator now so that when they try to send send him to prison, it's all okay. And they're calling you a domestic terrorist so they can arrest you when the FBI wants to crack down. Now, this is, you have some unelected academics telling you what you can and can't do. And you know how they always have the big map on the wall of which state goes to which candidate? They might as well just mark this one, Colorado, for Trump, because this is just going to all fall. The Supreme Court, with Clarence Thomas leading, they're going to, this appeal, it's not going to go the way they want. So Trump can actually thank them for doing this and giving him the state of Colorado.
I would imagine it's also going to thwart Jack, the investigator Jack's appeal to the Supreme Court as well.
Probably.
Just because of this mass interference.
So there have been 25 states now that are filing different things.
Yeah.
And, of course, all the polls say Trump way ahead. Nikki Haley and Chris Christie, they even came out and gave their reaction to this. And, again...
everybody has. Christie, Vivek, Nikki Haley, the whole gang, as they should.
Well, let's hear from them. Here's Nikki Haley and Chris Christie.
We don't need to have judges making these decisions. We need voters to make these decisions.
I do not believe Donald Trump should be prevented from being president of the United States by any court. I think he should be prevented from being president of the United States by the voters of this country.
Yeah. And that's it exactly with the Supreme Court of Colorado making this decision. They're trying to choose for you because, Ethan, they know what's best for you.
So this is antithetical to the constitutional process and is absolutely withering away at the integrity of our election process. If Democrats want to restore faith in the election, in the government, then they need to step aside and let the voters make their own decisions.
That's it exactly. Trump never removed an opponent from a ballot.
No.
Trump never used the government against his opponent. Trump never censored speech. So here's Vivek Ramaswamy pledging to withdraw from the Colorado GOP primary unless Trump is allowed on the ballot.
They have just tried to bar President Trump from the Colorado ballot using an unconstitutional maneuver that is a bastardization of the 14th Amendment to our U.S. Constitution. This was a provision, Section 3, that was designed to bar Confederate members, people who switched to the Confederacy, from actually being able to serve. That's very different than what's at issue here, to say the least. This is a hollowed out husk of what the country was built on. The basic principle that we, the people, select our leadership, not the unelected elite class in the back of palace halls. That's old world Europe, not the United States. That's why I'm making a pledge today that I will withdraw. I pledge to withdraw from the Colorado GOP primary ballot unless and until Trump's name is restored. And I demand that Ron DeSantis and Chris Christie and Nikki Haley do the same thing, or else these Republicans are simply complicit in this unconstitutional attack on the way we conduct our constitutional republic. I refuse to be complicit in that. I think what they're doing is wrong. And I think it's up to Republicans to step up and stand up with a spine for our country's future.
Yeah. That's
really what's at stake, whether we, the people, actually have a say in deciding who leads this country.
All right, so what you've got here is, by way of liberals, Vivek Ramaswamy literally changing how Colorado will hold their elections, because Dave Williams, the Colorado GOP chair, came out and said, you know what, you don't have to withdraw, Vivek. What we're going to do is change it, and we'll have a caucus instead. Completely going to change it.
So that would disqualify the Supreme Court's ruling in that case?
Well, it just means, you know,
or the Colorado Supreme Court.
The primary ballot it'll look different. But here's another question. Why did they issue this without naming the author justice? We're lacking just a little bit of transparency here.
Well, it's a complete subversion of the election process.
Yeah. It is 14 minutes after 9. It is the Kendall and Casey show on 93 WIBC. Let's switch gears and talk about what Joe Biden has done. He was busted trying to sneak Hunter into D.C. on the Marine One transport. And Peter Ducey from Fox News noticed it. Hunter Biden at the White House after filing that congressional subpoena.
We were all just watching the first family's return from Delaware on Marine One, and my colleague Peter Ducey noticed someone hop off the chopper who was not on the passenger list the White House gave us. Hunter Biden. So Hunter is apparently here at the White House after defying a congressional subpoena while being indicted and facing a maximum of 17 years behind bars on the financial crimes, plus another 25 on the gun charges that he is facing, John.
So Biden and Hunter, they all went shopping together. Karine Jean-Pierre was asked about it. And why didn't the White House include Hunter Biden on the list of people traveling with the president?
The reason I asked is just the legal trouble he's facing. If leaving him off the list would appear to sound like an effort to conceal him. And I guess the question that it begs is, why does the president think it's appropriate that taxpayer dollars should be used to fly him around when he's been indicted and justified a congressional subpoena?
So I would refer you to Hunter's personal representatives as it relates to any questions about the legal affairs. But as you know, as it relates to the past couple of days, as I just stated to your colleague, is that the president and their family were obviously it was a somber anniversary that they were recognizing. So you could imagine what that is like for them. And I'll say lastly, and I've said this many times before, the president and the first lady love their son very, very much. But as it relates to anything in regards to his legal affairs, I would have to certainly refer you to his representatives. I just don't have anything else to add on that.
She was not asked about his legal affairs. Right. She was asked why his name was left off of the list.
There was another reporter who asked her the same question, and she's like, well, I'll have to double check the logs and see. It doesn't matter whether the family was grieving. The family isn't the ones who write the logs and keep track of that kind of data. So the fact that it was conveniently left out definitely gives the appearance of impropriety. And if they're willing to conceal Hunter's travel, what other elements of his life and business dealings are they willing to conceal?
Yeah, okay, so along with that, there's this one other audio that I wanted to play for you, and I want you to ask yourself while you're listening to this, why is the Biden family getting the monarchy treatment? I mean, this feels like something that the king's secretary would say. Like the U.S. has its own gray suit, and her name is Karine Jean-Pierre. Just listen to this, the family.
And then I noticed today when the president arrived on Marine One that Hunter Biden and his son Beau were also on the helicopter with them. The White House provides to the public a list of staffers who travel with the president. Why don't they provide a list of the family members that travel with the president on these government budgets?
I have to double check to see if that is indeed correct, because I did ask about that. So let me just double check. Look, I'll say this more broadly. Obviously, you've seen the president with his family these past couple of days, and I think you know why. They were observing a very somber anniversary for them, and so I'm not going to add anything more to that. But this was obviously a somber moment in the family, and so they were certainly together to acknowledge and take part in that anniversary. So we just want to be really sensitive to that and make that very, very clear. And don't have anything to add about the family. Obviously, the president is very close to his family as it relates to the holidays. He spends, obviously, every holiday with his family, mostly every holiday with his family. I just don't have a list of names to share with you at this time.
You, Mr. Taxpayer, you, Mrs. Taxpayer, you have to be sensitive to the family. You have to pay for Hunter Biden to fly around with dad.
Well, I mean, in fairness here, I don't think Donald Trump ever made Barron take an Uber to wherever they were flying. The issue is the concealment here. The issue is the dishonesty. The issue is the fact that they're trying to hide what's going on.
And why are they doing that?
And why?
Because they know it doesn't look good because of all of the trouble that Hunter has caused.
Bingo.
It's the Kendall and Casey Show. It's 93 WIBC. Good morning.
Tony Katz.
I alphabetized my soundboard. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. F?
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, sir.
I have to go to S for Sopranos. Makes sense.
Yeah, I think you got it.
It's so clean now. It's fantastic. Yeah, we have clearly run out of things to talk about. There's nothing else going on in the world.
It's a great world, everything's so.
This show is stupid.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Exercise Inc. wants you to start changing your life in 20 minutes a week this month. It's Terry Stacy, and this is an offer they've never made before. If you come in for a free consultation in the month of December, you'll get 2 free sessions just for trying it out. You don't even have to sign up. Exercise Inc. is a 20-minute, once-a-week workout program that will help you get stronger, have more energy, and just feel better. This program was developed to help women with osteoporosis. It will help both men and women get a lot stronger. Their program will also teach you simple nutritional habits that will help you lose weight and keep it off. Most importantly, you'll have a coach who will hold you accountable in reaching your goals. You do not want to miss this offer. Come in for a free consultation in the month of December, and you'll get 2 free sessions just for trying it out. Exercise Inc., Avon, Brownsburg, Greenwood, Zionsville, and now in Fishers. ExerciseInc.com.
Around here, it's a little less about presents and a little more about presents. To celebrate, to share, and to give thanks. To be there. And right now, you can be there in a Hubler quality pre-owned vehicle. Every Hubler Q-certified vehicle is covered by a 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Shop any of Hubler's 12 locations or visit drivehubler.com and choose from over 1,000 vehicles. Chevy, Ford, GMC, Buick, Nissan, Acura, Mazda, Honda, and many more. Plus, every Hubler Q-certified vehicle includes a 128-point vehicle inspection and a free Carfax history report. You can be there for years to come because Hubler's got you covered for 100,000 miles. So what drives Indiana? DriveHubler.com. For over 1,000 vehicles, visit any of our 12 locations. May your season be full of presents. Warranty on select models less than 9 years old.
You've been hearing me talk about how I go to 459 Barber Lounge. Tony Katz here, and the holidays are here. Now is the time to look your best and give 459 a try. Look your best for family and friends. Look your best for yourself. Go to the best. 459 has the highly skilled barbers and stylists you want with over 100 years of combined experience. They've been serving Indianapolis for 20 years, open 7 days a week, across from the Fashion Mall on 86th Street. 459online.com. 459online.com.
As most Americans suffer financially, gold just hit an all-time high. Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and this is why you need a physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, text the word SHELTER to 989898 to get your free info kit on gold IRAs. Secure your IRA or your 401k right now. Text SHELTER to 989898 to request your free info kit right now.
Jewelry, rings, diamonds, and watches are just a few possible Christmas gifts at Pierce Jewelers. Let them help you celebrate that special moment with your loved one. Shop local, shop smart, shop Pierce Jewelers.
It's the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
See that sign? No shirt, no shoes, no ties.
Right. Learn it. Know it. Live it.
Good morning, 24 minutes after 9. It is the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. Rob Kendall with the day off and Ethan Hatcher in the studio. So the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, he's turned up the temperature once again in his battle against the Biden administration over immigration policy. So at the beginning of the week, he signed a new border bill, including SB 4. It makes it a state crime to illegally cross into Texas from Mexico. The law lets Texas police arrest those suspected of being in the country without authorization, and the state courts can sentence repeat offenders up to 20 years in prison. So isn't this part of his job as governor, especially governor of a border state? state, that he's responsible to not only enforce the state laws, but also federal laws and the Constitution.
State laws, yes, it's questionable whether he has the constitutional authority to enforce border laws, because as it's been understood and enforced, that is strictly under the purview of the federal government. So this is an excellent opportunity to bring the issue before the Supreme Court and make a final ruling whether governors have that authority. But what Governor Greg Abbott's greatest success has been is sounding the alarm on the enormous, unimaginable failures of Biden's border policies. And he's brought this to the forefront of national attention by busing migrants to sanctuary cities, by overloading the taxpayer in those sanctuary cities where they invited them to be overwhelmed. Because it's shown us what the plight of these southern border states have been for a long time, being forced to shoulder this burden by themselves.
All right, well, we're going to get to the mayor of one of those sanctuary cities in just a second. But here at the same press conference that Karine Jean-Pierre had earlier, she was asked about the record number of illegal immigrants crossing the southern border and how Texas is cracking down. And her answer, it's not who we are as a country.
Question on the new immigration law in Texas. Does White House have any thoughts on that law? And there appears to be some litigation that's starting over the law as well.
Look, this is an extreme law that will not and does not make the communities in Texas safer. It just doesn't. And I think to add to that is that it is very much in line with what Republicans, many Republicans like to do or tend to do, which is demonize immigrants and also dehumanize immigrants. This is part of this. And so this is not who we are as a country. This is not who we should be as a country. Communities should not be individually targeted and put into harm's way. And this is what we're seeing. Again, this is something that Governor Abbott has done over and over again. There are plenty of examples that I've listed out from here before, whether it's leaving migrants in the side of the road in the middle of winter, installed razor wire near the border, making it more dangerous for Border Patrol to do their jobs, and placed bayous in the
Can we shush the sea hag?
I know.
I'm getting sick of this.
Blah, blah,
Cut the tape, Carl. I'm sick of the sea hag. All
okay,
right,
she said this is not who we are as a country. Well, we aren't a country without borders. If you can't keep our sovereignty, what are we?
Okay, yes, and she says dehumanizing immigrants, which is such gaslighting. Nobody dehumanized the immigrants at that sports ball stadium that were sworn in. We were all celebrating with them as Americans because they were now part of the country. Melania Trump also welcoming immigrants who came through the front door.
The word you're missing is legally.
There we go.
Yes.
It's not immigrants, it's criminals. It's people who are breaking the law, and it's absolutely going to help protect American safety by enforcing border security when we manifestly have people on the terrorist watch list attempting and successfully crossing into our boundaries.
All right, so the mayor of Chicago is big mad that his sanctuary city being used as a sanctuary city, so we'll get to him. And also the city of Westfield has announced future plans for Grand Park. It's all on the way with 93 WIBC.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These ideas were more than just a history lesson for a young Chuck Goodrich. They were a call to action. Growing up in Rowan, Indiana, Chuck took the principles of our nation's founding to heart, believing that in America, anything is possible. Chuck Goodrich was also raised with Midwestern values and learned about a strong work ethic and how to treat people with respect. While paying his way through Purdue, Chuck Goodrich earned an internship at Gaylor Electric. Now, 30 years later, Chuck Goodrich owns that same company and employs 2,000 people. A lot has changed for Chuck Goodrich. However, Chuck and his wife Tricia instill the same conservative values in their family as they place faith and family first. Now, Chuck Goodrich is running for Congress because he believes too many in Washington have forgotten the simple, common-sense ideas that make America special. Chuck Goodrich, conservative Republican for Congress.
I'm Chuck Goodrich, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Go With Chuck Goodrich Committee.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZzzQuil nights. Explore our products at ZzzQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level. On the go.
For now, he won't be on the ballot. It's 30 degrees and sunny downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 9:30. A court ruling in Colorado has taken former President Trump off of the ballot for the upcoming election.
The Trump campaign's response says, the Colorado State Supreme Court issued a completely flawed decision tonight, and we will swiftly file an appeal to the United States Supreme Court and a concurrent request for a stay of this deeply undemocratic decision. The Colorado Secretary of State believes they've got Trump on the Civil War era, Section 3 of the 14th Amendment.
Fox's Peter Doocy reporting. The political leader of Hamas is in Cairo today to talk with Egyptian leaders about the Israeli hostages and a possible ceasefire. This comes as Israeli President Isaac Herzog said on Tuesday that the country is willing to engage in talks for another humanitarian pause. Last night, the UN Security Council failed to agree on a ceasefire resolution. Your opening bell report on 93 WIBC brought to you by Absolute Wealth Management, LLC. After a good day yesterday, stocks are in decline. The Dow was down 92 points to 37,839. The NASDAQ is off 43 to 16,979. And the S&P 500 is down 11 to 4,809. I'm Kirk Darling on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Imagine a world where animals and humans coexist in harmony, where wild animals thrive, habitats are protected, and marginalized communities are empowered. At International Animal Rescue, this is our vision. Our holistic, community-led projects not only rescue animals, but also protect and replenish precious habitats, creating a better future for us all. But we can't do this without you. Show your support now and help keep the wild wild. Visit internationalanimalrescue.org.
At Absolute Wealth Management, LLC, we understand that your retirement and taxes are inseparable. And if you're over 50, we're offering a special deal to kickstart your financial journey in 2024. You can have your 2023 tax return prepared and filed, including Schedules A, B, and D, for just $79.95. This can be the start of a lifelong, profitable partnership with Absolute Wealth Management, LLC. All our retirement planning clients will continue to receive the substantial discount for tax filing and preparation as part of our ongoing retirement marathon that focuses on protecting everything you've worked so hard to build while still providing growth to help elevate your lifestyle in retirement. Take absolute control of your retirement. Call us now at 317-288-0634, 317-288-0634, or visit AbsoluteWealthManagementLLC.com. Investment advisory services offered through Gradient Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Gradient Advisors, LLC, and its advisors do not render tax, legal, or accounting advice.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
The mayor of Chicago, big mad, big time. Why? Well, because his sanctuary city is being used as a sanctuary city, right? He's also mad at Greg Abbott in Texas. He says that the governor is attacking the United States itself by
attacking them with the immigrants that they asked for.
Right. But here he is having a press conference letting you all know about his displeasure.
It was not just how we respond in the city of Chicago. It's the fact that we have a governor, an elected official in the state of Texas that is placing families on buses without shoes, cold, wet, tired, hungry, afraid, traumatized, and then they come to the city of Chicago where we have homelessness, we have mental health clinics that have been shut down and closed. You have people who are seeking employment. The governor of Texas needs to take a look in the mirror of the chaos that he is causing for this country.
He is causing.
Mm-hmm. This is not just a Chicago dynamic. He is attacking our country.
He's completely blaming it on the governor of Texas. Let's put this into a little bit of perspective, right? The population of Chicago is about, 2.6 million? The population of El Paso, 40,000. I mean, there's a little bit of difference there when the population doubles based on immigrants.
Well, you got 10,000 a day crossing the border.
Yeah.
So that's many times the size of the city of El Paso, and they're expected to just take care of this. And I think it's funny that Brandon Johnson is blaming Greg Abbott for sending them cold and wet and without shoes. That's how they came. What is this?
Yeah.
Whenever Brandon Johnson talks, I hear entrance of the gladiators in the background.
So earlier this week, they had the highest single day ever of immigrants crossing into the border. It was over 12,000. 12,600, highest single day total ever, and the numbers just keep getting worse. And I don't know if you've seen any of the drone footage, but that really puts it into perspective when you kind of zoom out and get that 10,000-foot view of really what's going on there. And as you are traveling over the holidays, if you're planning on getting on a plane, hey, don't be surprised if someone sitting next to you is an immigrant, because, they're being flown all over the country now. And is it up to Delta or any of the airlines to let you know that you might be sitting next to somebody? And what sort of medical screenings did they go through?
Sure.
In their illegal crossing, and as they're being flown all over the country.
Well, that brings up an excellent point, because, of course, Brandon Johnson is pointing the finger at Governor Greg Abbott for busing these illegal immigrants to sanctuary cities who asked for them and promised to be a welcoming place. What changed? Anyway, so I don't know. I lost my thought.
I meant to say Eagle Pass, Texas, by the way, not El Paso. But here's a report from Fox that we should listen to.
We have it, and the numbers just keep getting worse. Those 12,600 encounters you mentioned, that is the highest single-day total ever recorded, beating the previous record just a couple of weeks ago. And Eagle Pass is just getting completely overrun. Take a look at this video. A contact on the ground there sent us last night. Thousands upon thousands of migrants camped out waiting to be processed by Border Patrol. I can tell you, I've spent hundreds of days in Eagle Pass over the last couple of years. I've never seen the situation that bad there, and it is still going on this morning. Take a live look at our Fox News drone over Eagle Pass right now. You can see masses of migrants still camped out there waiting for Border Patrol to take custody.
Yeah, they're just waiting to take custody of all of them.
That's what I was trying to say. Okay, so Brandon Johnson is pointing the finger at Greg Abbott for busing migrants across the country. But what about the president of the United States? What about Joe Biden? Because before Greg Abbott was even doing that, they were redistributing migrants surreptitiously through those flights that were uncovered by Fox News. So why can the federal government do it, but not the governor of Texas, who's being asked to shoulder the burden by himself? Like, the blame is being completely misplaced by these liberals.
Well, it's a lot
We're
easier.
being gaslit because they're blaming the Republicans, but it's the federal border policy.
It's a lot easier for the mayor to point fingers at other people and say, you're doing a bad job, when all Greg Abbott is trying to do is protect his state. And you notice he's not offering up any solutions either,
Well,
by the way.
Greg Abbott has been enormously successful at drawing attention to the problem.
Yep. It is 9:38. This is the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. So let's take a look at what's happening in Westfield. City announced that there are future plans for Grand Park, and Grand Park not being sold. They announced this instead. It's going to partner with 4 different groups to form a Grand Park Sports and Entertainment. So Indy Sports and Entertainment, Keystone Group, Indy 11, and Bullpen Ventures. They're going to form a public-private partnership.
What a gross construction of the English language. Say that again.
Yeah, they're going to form a public-private partnership.
So read taxpayers on foot in the bill for the economic development of these private businesses. And look, I'm all for economic growth, but if you want to set up a business, you need to be doing it on your own dime and not coming to the city of Westfield and expecting a handout. This is ridiculous.
So Indy Sports and Entertainment and also Bullpen Ventures, they're going to handle youth sports at the park, and they're going to work to bring in more large sporting events. Indy
Wonderful.
Sports and Entertainment plans to build a new training center for Indy 11, and Grand Park will eventually become the official training home for Indy 11, along with a new women's professional team that will play in the Super League. Super League. Yeah, and the Keystone Group is going to be working with the city's development partner for Grand Park.
Soccer and women's sports, both famously profitable ventures in America.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time at Grand Park actually watching youth sports, youth soccer, but the new partnership, they say it's going to focus on creating a sports and entertainment district, and the plans include building restaurants, hotels, offices, and retail spaces. And once again, when you build up these areas in the donut, like Westfield, okay, a lot of people travel there, like I used to do. I would travel many times from South Bend down to Grand Park for lots of youth sporting events, and we would stay in hotels in Carmel, go to the restaurants in Carmel. Now they're going to build up this area around Westfield with restaurants, hotels, and office and retail spaces. That's taking away from people coming downtown. What's the point? Why would anybody come to downtown Indianapolis?
Well, now we're setting up competition for the city's own economic investment from the taxpayers building hotels for private entities to profit from.
And
again, why are taxpayers paying for private businesses' ability to profit? I'm all for the free market thriving, but that means the free market needs to make its own decisions, not be interfered with by the government.
Okay, another big story that happened. Over 170 people with Jeffrey Epstein links are likely going to be named in a court dock, and that's going to be unsealed in the coming weeks. That's going to what? Make a lot of people very uncomfortable at the beginning of the year as their names are going to be brought up in this trove of court documents.
Theoretically, I'll believe it when I see it. I'm incredibly skeptical of this.
Because it hasn't been released to this point?
At any point. They sealed the records of Ghislaine Maxwell while she was offering testimony. If they wanted to get to the bottom of this, they would have been. They've had more than 4 years since he hung himself in 2019, and we know more about Hunter Biden's laptop and financial transactions than we do about anybody who is flying on the Lolita Express. So maybe I'd love to see the list. Maybe they're willing to throw these 170 individuals on the sacrificial pyre, but again, I'll believe it when I see it.
If there are any names on the list officially that you suspect are on the list, will you be surprised? Will that
of the 170 names, 169 of them are Bill Clinton.
And who's the other one? Prince Andrew?
Yes.
Okay, so this judge has ruled that they have to unseal these documents, but here's a little reminder, and this is going all the way back to 2015. You know the internet's forever, right?
Yeah.
This was at CPAC, and this is Trump randomly bringing up the Epstein Island and mentions a few people. Is Trump going to be proven right again?
Bill Clinton. Nice guy. Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island with Jeffrey Epstein. A lot of problems.
Epstein in your remarks about in the Q&A.
Well, I think he's got a problem. I mean,
what do you think the problem will be?
I don't know, but that island was really a cesspool. There's no question about it. Just ask Prince Andrew. He'll tell you about it. The island was an absolute cesspool. So,
the Clintons are friends
and he's
of
been
yours,
there
right?
for many times.
The Clintons are friends
Well,
of
I
yours.
can't say friends, but I know
You're
them.
friendly. You know them.
They play at my clubs a lot. I have clubs, and everybody likes to play
Are you
at my
saying
clubs.
there's a political problem for her if she runs for president?
It could be a political problem. Look, he could be a political problem. Right now, he's Teflon, and right now, maybe not. But he could end up being a...
Okay, so, yeah, back all the way 2015.
It's incredibly prescient.
Trump was pointing that out. Okay, before we get into break, let's talk about Chip Roy. Apparently, he's
got a chip on his shoulder.
From Texas. You know, he has been backing DeSantis. And Carl, why is Chip Roy in this fight with Donald Trump? Remind me of that.
He endorsed DeSantis.
Yeah, but you said there was something else.
Why? Oh, because Trump tweeted out that we should primary out Chip Roy.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so now the two are fighting, and people are calling Chip Roy a rhino. And here he is using the word of, I don't know, is it the word of the year, the word of the season, word of the winter? It's the F word. We've heard Elon use it. We've heard Vivek use it. And now here's Chip Roy using it. Carl, I hope you did a good bleep.
Some of our brothers and sisters, particularly in the, MAGA camp, I think, particularly enjoy the circular firing squad. You want to come at me and call me a rhino? You can kiss my ass. Look, I've spent a lifetime fighting for limited government conservatism. I have laid it all on the line. I've not seen my family but for 2 days in the last 30 days. You go around talking your big game and you thumping your chest on Twitter. Yeah, come to my office and come have a debate, mother. You know why? Because I'm standing up for this country every single day. And Steve, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to go to a nunnery. Because, God damn it, there were people who were buried over in Normandy who deserve us to stand up for what they fought for. So that's what I'm going to do. And all of you out there who are out there saying what you're saying out on social media, you stick it. I'm going to go down to the floor and do my job, and I'm going to stand up for the people who fought for this country. And I'm going to do it the way I think is right for the people that I represent. That's what I think. What happened to a country where we can't even have order? Right? You want to know what Ron DeSantis should be talking about as being the governor who can restore order as president of the United States?
He was upset. Everybody's tempers flaring just a little bit. Chip Roy, pretty plain-speaking guy, but I think you understood all the words there. And he mentioned Ron DeSantis, so we're going to hear from the Ron DeSantis War Room coming up on 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, the Colorado Supreme Court takes Trump off the ballot, why they're wrong, and what should be done about it. That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
Denise has been playing jazz for 40 years. Last concert, one of the musicians fell sick with RSV. Respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV, is a highly contagious virus that can lead to breathing problems. This time, she's choosing to help protect herself with Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo. Abrysvo is a vaccine for the prevention of lower respiratory tract disease caused by respiratory syncytial virus, RSV, in adults 60 years of age and older. Abrysvo is not for everyone and may not protect all who receive the vaccine. Don't get Abrysvo if you've had a severe allergic reaction to its ingredients. People with a weakened immune system may have a decreased response to Abrysvo. The most common side effects are tiredness, headache, pain at the injection site, and muscle pain. Ask your pharmacist or doctor about Pfizer's RSV vaccine, Abrysvo, respiratory syncytial virus vaccine. For full prescribing information, please call 1-844-989-7284 or visit abrysvo.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Uline is here for the hard workers, for the ones rolling up their sleeves, working round the clock, and getting the job done. You're dedicated to doing what it takes to keep a business growing. Uline is dedicated to helping you make that happen. Working 7 days a week, staying fully stocked and ready to ship any of our 41,000 items the same day. Uline, your shipping and industrial supply specialists. Visit uline.com.
Hey, this is Pastor Micah back with From Life Church. The greatest season of the year is upon us. Christmas is here. We're decorating the trees. We are stuffing the stockings. Hey, if you aren't planning a worship experience this Christmas season, I would really encourage you to make that part of your tradition. If you need a place to worship and celebrate the birth of our Savior, come to Life Church. We'd love to celebrate with you. Check out our service times and locations at lifechurchin.com.
You've heard the buzz about IT jobs in cybersecurity and AI, right? Why not prepare for a career in these fields and take advantage of the high demand? You could enjoy a more rewarding and recession-resistant lifestyle. Train in just a few short months at My Computer Career. No experience necessary. Already in IT? Skill up for positions employers need to fill. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. That's mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
The latest local news, commentary from Tony Katz, Kendall and Casey, Hammer and Nigel, podcasts. Listen to the station live whenever, wherever, online at WIBC.com.
Good morning. It is 11 minutes in front of 10. You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. My name is Casey Daniels. Rob Kendall has the day off. Ethan Hatcher joining us in the studio right now. You ready to talk about Ron DeSantis?
Let's
Nikki
talk
Haley?
some DeSantis.
Yeah. Where are you with Ron DeSantis? How you feeling these days?
I mean,
You've been a fan, right?
I have been a fan. He remains, I think, at this point, my pick of the current Republican field. But even Ron DeSantis has given me cause for concern. At the 4th Republican debate, I was floored when he said we should stem the tide of legal immigration. And I'm like, whoa. Roll back the tape. Ron, what did you just say?
Do you think he was misspeaking?
No, he was
intentional.
He was addressing Nikki Haley because Nikki Haley believes we should have unlimited legal immigration. Yeah, I believe we should have unlimited legal immigration if you meet the qualifications and come through the front door.
Mm-hmm. Follow the rules.
Yeah, and follow the rules. Legal immigration is what I want. Mm-hmm. First we could talk about stemming the tide of illegal immigration before we address stopping legal immigration.
Okay, now you had also mentioned Nikki Haley put you off when she was talking about how everybody on social media needs to be verified with their name.
Those are my two gripes with Nikki Haley, or the biggest gripes, I should say, is her anti-First Amendment approach to social media, and then also her propensity for war hawkish behavior and the bombing the world.
Okay, so these are the two that are coming the closest to Donald Trump. I have to imagine that how you're feeling about Chris Christie is probably okay. Not many feelings.
I never took him seriously.
Okay, and then what about Vivek?
I used to like Vivek. Vivek was, for a while, my pick because of his performance in the Republican debates. I thought for the first 3 debates, he outshined the performance of Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis really made a big improvement in the 4th debate because he finally did what he should have been doing the whole time, which is just focusing on his success in Florida and returning to the message. I think that that's what will resonate the strongest with voters because, like what we've talked about before, leadership is what you're looking for as a qualifier for an executive of the presidency. And if that doesn't resonate, well, I guess it's just not Ron's time, but that's the correct strategy. But Vivek really turned me off when he started leaning into conspiracy territory and declaring proudly that the Great Replacement theory is not a conspiracy, but a fact. And the Great Replacement theory, in short, is the idea that immigrants are being purposefully imported to change the racial demographics of our country and replace the white majority. To which I'd say, Vivek, if you believe in that theory, and the people who do, look in the mirror, my friend, because you would qualify by that definition. Like, no, that's gross. I don't think we should be voting for Clayton Bigsby.
But Ramaswamy came in through the front door legally, like you,
correct,
or at least his parents did. Okay, so let's go to. I bring all this up because it's like you're running out of candidates that you like.
Well, Ron DeSantis right now is my pick.
Okay.
Out of the current field.
All right. Well, let's go to the Ron DeSantis war room. He does have a new attack out against Nikki Haley. So he clearly sees her as a threat to his path.
Yes, he does.
This is a combination of CNN, Fox, Donald Trump, Outkick, and Newsmax. He kind of got clips from everywhere, put them all together. And there's a reason that Nikki Haley is spending millions to smear Ron DeSantis, and there's a reason that Haley is refusing to criticize Donald Trump, and there's also a reason that Nikki Haley has asked Trump's permission to run, right? That's the way Ron DeSantis sees it anyway.
President Trump has been withering about people who he endorsed or appointed becoming his opponents, and yet when it comes to Haley, he seems less concerned.
Nikki Haley called me the other day to talk to me. And I said, look, go by your heart if you want to run.
Even someone like a Nikki Haley, she's careful to not really go after Trump in any kind of aggressive way because there's always the possibility that he could be looking at that debate stage for a VP.
I don't think he sees her as a threat. In fact, her presence probably helps him.
They haven't been nasty toward each other. Him and Ron DeSantis have been...
They broke up for good.
I can still see Nikki Haley being welcomed back somewhere on the ticket.
I don't see any way at all the math adds up for Nikki Haley. If Ron DeSantis were to drop out of this race, most of Ron DeSantis' supporters would actually go to Donald Trump. If Nikki Haley were to drop out of the race, most of her supporters would go to DeSantis.
Would you ever pick Nikki Haley to VP? Would you ever do that?
Crazier things have happened. I don't know. I would never say never with Donald J. Trump.
Okay, so for years, Nikki Haley has wanted to be Donald Trump's vice president. Now she's using the 24 candidacy to finally make her VP dream a reality by following the lead of the former president as they've combined to spend over $30 million against Ron DeSantis, all while she refuses to attack Donald Trump. That is what a new website says, and the website is a Trump Nikki 2024 website launched by Ron DeSantis.
It's a little desperate. I'm not sure I follow his theory there. I don't believe that Donald Trump would ever make such a selection because the way he demands loyalty and is enamored with stardom and fame, neither of which are qualified by Nikki Haley. The fact that she's running against him, I think he would interpret as a slight.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. When he demands 100% loyalty. So Ron DeSantis launches a website that says Trump Nikki 2024. So if you're very passive, are you seeing this and thinking, oh, okay, Donald Trump has picked his running mate and it's Nikki Haley? Or are you picking up on the fact that this is Ron DeSantis trying to say, oh, look, Nikki Haley's not really trying to be president.
She's trying to be vice
president. She's trying to be vice
Okay,
president.
yeah.
I mean, are you really getting that message from this website?
Yeah, no, that's an excellent question. Is it too heady for people who aren't following, the day-by-days of politics? Like, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, Ron DeSantis does have a point. She's not answering the question directly. She's been asked many times if she wants to be Trump's vice president. And, of course, she's saying, I'm running for president. But she won't say whether she's interested in that role or not. So this was on CBN News. She's asked twice if she will rule out running as his vice president, Trump's vice president. And she said no. She wasn't, she never answered unequivocally that
she's keeping it purposefully ambiguous.
Yes, being very ambiguous. Okay, so what do we have coming up? Oh, the world's most powerful militaries in 2023 ranked. Where does the United States sit on the global stage of the world's most powerful militaries? We'll talk about it coming up from 93 WIBC. Good morning.
This is the lunch rush at your local deli. Orders are flying in. Online, on the phone, and in person.
Order for Nick.
Uh-oh. So is it possible that fast internet could help your business outrun the rush? It is with Comcast Business. Up-leveling your speed with gig speed Wi-Fi, powering all your devices, and fast downloads and uploads, powered by the next generation 10G network. With Comcast Business, next-level speed isn't just possible, it's happening. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Get started with fast speeds and advanced security for $49 a month for 12 months with a one-year contract. Plus, ask how to get a $600 prepaid card with a qualifying gig bundle. Call or go online to learn more. Ends 12/20/2023. Restrictions apply. Requires EcoBill and AutoPay. New 100 megabits per second internet and Security Edge customers only. Equipment, taxes, and other fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Gig Wi-Fi requires gig internet and compatible router.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZQuil nights. Explore our products at ZQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hi, this is Mark Chester from Marshall Mechanical. On behalf of Eric Marshall and our whole team at Marshall Mechanical, we would like to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. If you have a home heating emergency during the holidays, please feel free to give us a call at 317-738-5940 or find us online at callthemarshallnow.com.
Marshall Mechanical is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Emmer and Nigel here, inviting you to join us as we kick off the weekend every Friday around 5:45 with Beer Sample Friday, brought to you by our friends at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
It takes everyone in the community working together to create a brighter future. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Visit liveunited.org to learn how you can help.
When was the last time you practiced your home fire escape plan? Be sure everyone in your family knows what to do if there's a fire. Get out, stay out. It's your fire safe response.
Coming up in 2 minutes, a massive shortfall that state lawmakers have to try and make up, plus the plan for the future for Circle Center Mall and how much this hospital system has to pay in a settlement. I'm Kirk Darling. That and more coming up from the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios. You're listening to 93 WYBC, WYBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 10 o'clock.
No such thing has ever happened in our country before. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Former President Trump wrote that on Truth Social as his campaign vows to appeal after the Supreme Court in Colorado kicked him off the state's 2024 primary ballot, ruling he led a January 6th insurrection, disqualifying him under a Civil War era provision of the Constitution.
A little bit surprising, though, last night as Trump was here in Iowa for a rally, he did not specifically bring up the events happening in Colorado. However, his website now fundraising off of what's happened. Basically, when you go onto his site, people are just told, here's what we think, and then are asked to chip in. The campaign put out a statement saying, we have full confidence that the Supreme Court will quickly rule in our favor and finally put an end to these un-American lawsuits.
Fox's Mark Meredith. The Colorado Republican Party says if the ruling stands, they'll switch from a primary to a caucus where they don't need ballots. The former president's Republican challengers say he should not be excluded, including Trump critic Chris Christie.
I do not believe Donald Trump should be prevented from being president of the United States by any court. I think he should be prevented from being president of the United States by the voters of this country.
The UN Security Council is considering a resolution to again call for an end to the fighting in Gaza. As Fox's Trey Yingst reports,
Israel continues to strike Gaza. Over the last day, 300 different targets were hit, including a rocket launching position. Now, that position was used to fire on the Israeli city of Tel Aviv just yesterday. Here in the southern community of Be'eri, survivors of the October 7th massacre are returning to see some of the devastation 75 days after that attack.
There are talks of a possible ceasefire also in Egypt, with Hamas's leader there discussing another possible hostage and prisoner swap. The U.S. has just worked out a prisoner swap with Venezuela, releasing Alex Saab, a close ally of President Nicolas Maduro, who was arrested on a money laundering charge in 2020. In exchange, the AP reports Maduro will free some or all of at least 10 Americans imprisoned in Venezuela. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Not enough funding. It's 32 and sunny downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:02. Medicaid will be short by nearly $1 billion in funding for the coming year, something that has caught lawmakers off guard at the Indiana State House. Democrats are looking for assurances that Republicans won't make cuts to spending to make up that gap.
There are dollars there that we can backfill those shortfalls, so it can't be all cuts.
State Rep Greg Porter tells Wish TV lawmakers need to dip into reserves. Circle Center Mall has a new owner. Hendricks, which is a Wisconsin-based property management company, has bought the mall with plans to revamp it. Mayor Joe Hogshead calling the acquisition a visionary partnership between Hendricks and the city. Both plan to pump about $600 million into the mall's future. The city of Westfield has decided not to sell Grand Park. Instead, they're forming a public-private partnership.
We're here today to announce that we have reached a memorandum of understanding with a group that I think you will all recognize. They have put together a group, the Grand Park Sports Entertainment.
That's Mayor Andy Cook. Westfield is partnering with 4 other groups, including the Indy 11, to create a sports and entertainment district. A settlement between a community health hospital and the government is going to cost the healthcare provider a pretty penny. Sam Fritz.
$345 million is the amount that community health networks will have to pay in a settlement after they say community violated the False Claims Act.
Today's agreement resolves claims that community overpaid doctors to encourage them to illegally refer patients within their network.
United States Attorney Zach Myers. Community released their own statement saying they pay physicians based off evolving industry best practices with the advice of independent third parties. Sam Fritz, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
A pair of Colts players are facing discipline from the team. On Tuesday, wide receiver Isaiah McKenzie and cornerback Tony Brown were suspended for the rest of the regular season for conduct detrimental to the team, they say. I'm Kirk Darling. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC WYBC.com.
Mark Diedel's the only real estate agent I trust to sell my house. Maybe you're worried about costly repairs or upgrades to sell your home, or maybe you want max equity from your home but are not sure how. Mark Diedel's your guy. It was time for Matt in Shelbyville to sell the last of his investment properties and use the money elsewhere. In fact, Mark has sold many houses with Matt, and this time was no different than others. Mark got the job done, as expected, at the price Matt needed. Call Mark Dietel today, 755-4232.
There's only one agent that we trust and recommend, and that's Mark Dietel. Because Mark Dietel, he has the guarantee in place. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. If you don't believe us, call him. Talk to Mark Dietel yourself, 317-755-4232, or go to markdietel.com. That's Mark, D-I-E-T-E-L, markdietel.com. Tell him Hammer and Nigel sent you.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by Pierce Jewelers, Carmel's Diamond Engagement Ring Store.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Wednesday, December 20th. It is 5 minutes after 10. This is the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. My name is Casey Daniels. Rob Kendall has the day off, and Ethan Hatcher is joining us in the studio. Thank you, Ethan, for coming in today. Let's talk about what the Supreme Court of Colorado decided yesterday.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, they decided that Donald Trump, he can't be on that primary ballot next year. He's prohibited on constitutional grounds. And in its opinion, the court said that the Secretary of State may not list President Trump's name on the 24 ballot, and she may not count any write-in votes cast for him either. This is just a clear weaponization of the justice system to stop Trump from entering the West Wing ever again.
Well, it's also an overstepping of the constitutional authority and a misinterpretation of the 14th Amendment, since Section 5 explicitly grants Congress the authority to enforce the provisions. It would seem that a state Supreme Court preemptively acting is a usurpation of that authority. And it's also questionable whether Section 3 even applies, since Trump has never served in an oppositional military, never been convicted of insurrection against the country, nor was anybody on January 6th convicted of that either. So, and if we're going to talk about Section 3 and giving aid and comfort to the enemy, what about the billions of dollars that Joe Biden has funneled to Iran and the country, and representatives, including John Kirby, admitting that it endangers the lives of Americans and it endangers the lives of our allies in Israel because of how they're utilizing those funds for terrorist organizations. So,
well, and
wouldn't that disqualify Joe Biden then, under their logic?
Yeah, and along those same lines, you could say that Biden can't be on the ballot because of the 8 million illegals that he's let into the country.
There you go.
Maybe Texas should remove him from their ballot, as he's violated the Constitution there. Okay, so the Colorado presidential primary is scheduled for March 5th, and many people say they have full confidence that the U.S. Supreme Court is quickly going to rule in the favor of Donald Trump and put all of this to an end. And if that's the case, well, surely Colorado will go to Donald Trump. He has truthed out. He said that Biden should drop all of these fake political indictments against him, both criminal and civil. Every case he's fighting is the work of the DOJ and the White House. And nothing like this has ever happened before to the country. He called it a banana republic. And he also said that this was election interference. And with this move by the Colorado Supreme Court, aren't they really getting involved in an election?
Yeah.
And
that's the
and
definition
rigging it.
The definition of election interference.
Yeah.
Now, I'm amused by the Colorado Republican Party's suggestion that they may withdraw from the primary if this goes through, and then also switch to a caucus, which would be a really interesting workaround. If they're not going to allow him on a primary ballot, that's fine. We won't use ballots. I didn't appreciate the creativity of that in the first segment.
So that's what came up with Vivek Ramaswamy saying, if this is what's going to happen, take me off the ballot. He would encourage Haley and Christie Casey and DeSantis to do the same. And then Dave Williams, who is the Colorado GOP chair, came out and said, hey, you're not going to have to do that because we'll just switch our system to a caucus system. But let's get some reaction. Here is Nikki Haley and Chris Christie when they found out the news.
We don't need to have judges making these decisions. We need voters to make these decisions.
I do not believe Donald Trump should be prevented from being president of the United States by any court. I think he should be prevented from being president of the United States by the voters of this country.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about Nikki Haley. I wanted to play this clip for you last hour, but we ran out of time, so here it is. Nikki Haley, she was on CBN News, and she was asked twice if she would rule out being Donald Trump's running mate, his vice president, and she doesn't ever answer the question.
We're going to talk about you as vice president, and I know what you're going to say. I don't play for second. I got it. I've seen the line, and it's authentic. I get it. But Ron DeSantis has ruled it out. Says, no way, I'm not going to do it. Okay, are you going to rule it out?
I don't play for second.
I knew you were going to say that.
It's offensive when anybody says that, oh, she wants to be vice president. You don't do something like this to be vice president. You don't sacrifice emotionally, mentally, physically, with your family, everything to come in for second. That's not me. I've never done second a day in my life. I'm not going to start now. I'm doing this because we have a country to save. Everybody knows that our country is in disarray and the world is on fire. And I don't trust anybody else to fix it. And I'm determined to get that done. And we're going to get it done. And the people want us to get that done. You can feel it. And that's why you're seeing us move in the polls, is because they're tired. With me, there's no drama. There are no vendettas. There's no whining. It's just work. It's what I've always done is work.
But you're not going to rule it out because you're not going to rule it out.
It's not even a conversation, and it doesn't matter what candidate wants me to answer it. I don't play for second. I don't know what more I can say than to get them to understand that.
Well, sure. I mean, you aim for first, but you settle for second, and nobody believes if Nikki Haley happened to get that phone call, which I think is incredibly unlikely from the Trump camp, that she would turn down the opportunity. Now, you may be doing a dance with the devil because Mike Pence thought he'd come out the winner of that bargain, but it didn't turn out too well for him. I don't know.
No,
maybe it wouldn't turn out well for him.
It did not. But she mentioned words like sacrifice, and that's what it is if you feel like you're going to serve the American people. And that's what we need a leader to remember, that they're serving the public.
Considering how
that's why they're called public servants,
right? Considering how much he's financially benefited, from her quote unquote service, I'm not sure you could qualify it as such.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about this article, which I found very interesting. Global Firepower. They ranked 145 countries based on their military power, and they came up with a list of the top 25. And they weighed a host of different factors like volume of sophistication of their equipment, finances, geography, and also resources. Now, it's an extensive list. They go into the reasons why they rank each one, and we could sit here for the next 2 hours and talk about the top 25. But let's just go down to the top 5, shall we?
Sure.
These are the most powerful militaries in 2023. Number 5 is the United Kingdom. And number 4 is India. And they say the reason India sits at number 4 is because their strength lies in their population and their available manpower. And India, 47% of the country's population is involved in their military. So that is nearly half. 3 is China. And, of course, they're a growing military power, definitely in the recent years. And they also have a lot of manpower. However, something you have to consider with China is definitely their aging population, much quicker than India is. I think at some point in the very near future, India is going to pass China as a global power.
And China has nobody but themselves to blame for that because of the one-child policy.
Yep. According to Global Firepower, China's available military manpower is more than 761 million people. They also have 50 destroyer warships and 78 submarines, along with some other military assets. Sitting at number 2, they place Russia. Of course, Russia with a huge reputation, and definitely since they invaded Ukraine back in February of 22. They gave him a high score. Another reason Russia sits very high on this list, obviously, they have the world's largest stockpile of nuclear weapons. Yeah.
I still think that China and Russia should do a little flippy flop on this list, because it's not just the nuclear arms, it's the quality of the hardware. And the Chinese have invested in their manufacturing, and they've also ripped off a lot of American secrets in the creation of these weapons. And we've seen how Russia has been unable to defeat a country many times their junior in Ukraine, and their own hardware, essentially rusting out and getting destroyed on the sidelines. I think that their military has been revealed to be somewhat of a paper tiger, and if anything, I'd be doing them a little flippy flop, and they might even be behind India these days.
Okay, so who's number one on this list?
Nobody's surprised by this.
No, it is the U.S. military retained its undisputed place at the top of the ranking. Although China's efforts, they're narrowing that gap over the years. But Global Firepower says that U.S. took this top spot because it showcases commanding numbers in key material, financial. Oh, that's us.
Right.
We put them there. Also, resource categories. So not only do we have a lot of weapons, we have the ability to make more weapons. 92 destroyers, 11 aircraft carriers. Air power includes over 13,000 aircrafts, 983 attack helicopters, comfortably the largest in the world. We also have the largest defense budget, which we know $750 billion, and that is more than triple that of China. China's budget comes in second place, by the way.
We have so much military hardware, we can afford to leave some behind in Afghanistan when we finally tuck tail and turn and run.
Yes, Ethan, we can. And White House spokesperson John Kirby was recently asked about that. And you know what he said? You're wrong. We didn't leave equipment behind.
We didn't just leave a bunch of weapons in Afghanistan. This is a fallacy. This is a farce. What we did over the course of our 20 years in Afghanistan, of course, with congressional approval and consultations, was armed and helped equip the Afghan National Security Forces. Now, and as we have said time and time again, that as the Taliban made advances, those Afghan National Security Forces, many of them decided not to fight, but yet to lay down their arms and leave. But the arms that you're talking about, and again, I can't verify these specific reports, belong to the Afghan National Security Forces. That's what was left behind. Not that the United States just walked away and abandoned a bunch of weapons in a pile in Afghanistan. That's just simply not historically accurate.
Okay, so we're wrong.
Did we have the clip where they had the news reports of reporters, on the scene showing the military hardware that was left behind? Because I thought I sent that clip to you last night. Did we get that?
No.
No. Okay. Well, take my word for it then. I wish we could have included it, but they had, and it's a perfect contrast to John Kirby to show the levels of dishonesty being perpetrated by the administration, because you have the journalists right there in front of the equipment like, hey, here it is, guys. Here's the stuff that's being left behind.
Here's the stuff that was left behind for somebody else to grab and use. And
so are you calling them liars with the photographic evidence embedded with the troops? I think not. I think it's the administration who's trying to foist dishonesty on the American people, you disgusting swine.
By the way, the U.S. is the largest provider of military assistance to Ukraine. We've already committed $47 billion in military assistance since everything started. It is 18 minutes after 10. You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel.
The National Toy Hall of Fame has announced its new class. Baseball cards, Cabbage Patch Kids, Fisher-Price Corn Popper, that little thing you push, and Nerf.
Nerf?
Nerf made it in.
I think I'm good with the list. Literally, I think a stick is in the National Toy Hall of Fame.
It is.
Who didn't make it?
Slime. It's a staple of Nickelodeon.
Hammer and Nigel, weekdays 3 till 7 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy.
Pierce Jewelers has the perfect sparkle to put under the tree this Christmas. So don't be a Grinch. Spoil your loved one with a little blue box from Pierce Jewelers in Carmel.
It's the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
Mr. Bellin, will you take the ceremonial shovel?
Thank you.
And dig into the symbolic dirt.
I hereby dedicate this building to myself.
Good morning. It is 20 minutes after 10. This is the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. Did you hear about this? Comcast saying 36 million of their Xfinity accounts were compromised in a data breach. That's 1 out of every 10 people in the country.
Good thing I'm on Uverse.
Comcast has required every single one of their subscribers to reset their password and also include the multi-factor authenticator. That's so irritating to me. I mean, I know it's an effort to protect your privacy,
Sure.
but to have to do it twice or to get the text or the email, with the little code, it just seems like it's one more step.
And it's a hassle if you, for whatever reason, have to switch your phone and you get a new number to then attempt changing that two-factor authentication is such a trip. Because if you need your phone and you don't have your phone to get into the account, then you're basically screwed.
Yep. Okay, so the company said that they've been targeted by hackers and it was vulnerable. And I didn't realize that many people were still, using the product. I guess so.
Yeah, that's crazy. 1 in 10. But at the same time, I think this is a byproduct of the incredibly modern digital. Not to say that it's acceptable, because obviously this is putting the personal information of 36 million people in peril for potential exploitation. But that said, everything that is about you, if you interact with the internet at all, is up for grabs. The information's all there. The data, where you travel, who you call, how long these conversations last, what websites you visit, what cookies, what things you've bought. It all interfaces with each other, and you've gotten more than you could possibly fathom information that is being controlled by data analytical companies. And the more you interact online, the more is available for analysis. And that's just I don't know how you stop that. I don't like it. And I know there's lots of information about me out there just as a byproduct of interacting online. I'm just how do you stop that though? You can't.
Right.
Right. So you're just crap out of luck.
Let's talk about this new poll from Fox News, how voters feel, how things are going in the United States. What do you think the answer is? How do you feel things are going in the United States? I don't need to
guess, Casey Daniels, because Karine Jean-Pierre has told me repeatedly things are great.
You're right.
I trust the press secretary. They wouldn't be dishonest, would they?
You do? You trust her?
Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
All right. Well, that's your choice.
Things are hunky-dory.
That's true. That is your choice, Ethan, until the Colorado Supreme Court tells you otherwise. But according to this Fox News poll, 68% are dissatisfied, 32% satisfied. What? And what is the most important issue facing America? Number 1, 35% say it is the economy. And speaking of Karine Jean-Pierre, here is the White House spokesperson once again defending Bidenomics.
So I'll say this, and we've talked about this many times, right? The last few years have been challenging for the American people. We know that coming out of the pandemic. When the president walked into this administration, the economy was in a tailspin. It was. And so the president did everything that he can to make sure that we get this.
Play the music again. I like it better.
And we understand. We understand that Americans feel like things are still unaffordable.
Yeah. Just drown her out.
And that's That's why he's going to continue.
Oh, she's
When it
still
comes to-
going.
that's why the Inflation Reduction Act is so important. Matter of fact, no Republican repeal some
Oh, man. Okay, so the most important issue facing America at 35% is the economy.
That's something that I do on my show all the time. Except I usually put it like as a bed underneath the audio, so you get the mix.
The both of them?
Yeah,
No,
you
I
get
like the way Carl did it.
It's
where he-
difficult to do two on the same device.
No,
Problem.
I like the way you did it, Carl, where you just drown her out. We don't even need to hear what she has to say. That's better production, in my opinion. Another question from this poll: have you been helped by President Biden's economic policies? 14% say they have been helped. 46% say they have been hurt. And they were also asked, in the next year, the economy will get worse or get better. Do you want to take a guess? Is it going to get better?
It's going to get worse.
You're right. It's going to get worse. 44% of people thought it was going to get worse. Now, I know you're not a big sports guy,
No.
but have you heard about this this New Jersey restaurant canceling Tommy DeVito's appearance after he doubled his price? He's a Giants player and getting a little too big for his britches, apparently. Or is this just capitalism? So I think, what is he, like the third string guy? He came in, he was doing really well. He's got this great story. He's a hometown guy, lives with his family, and so becoming very popular, right? And he was going to make this appearance at this New Jersey restaurant. And then all of a sudden, he doubled his price.
Well, that's bullcrap.
And because he was getting more and more popular. So is this what you can do? Or there's a difference between what you can do and what you should do,
Sure,
right?
yeah. No, he has the ability to value his appearance at whatever price point he feels is commensurate to the value that he imparts. Obviously, the restaurant did not feel the same way. And if you want to engender yourself to the fans, many of which are working class, I don't think you're going to do it by doubling your price and then not showing up.
Yeah. So he should have really looked at the bigger picture, because I would think that future, I don't know, sponsors, maybe big corporate sponsors, would now look at him. People who could offer him a multi-million-dollar deal might look at him as a liability, because he had an agreement to go to this restaurant. Yes. And then he got a little too big for his britches and doubled his price. And then the restaurant said, no, they canceled it. We don't want you. Never mind. But what's he going to do if he has like a multi-million-dollar deal?
Yeah, you can't renegotiate after the deal's already been signed. Sorry, guy. And the thing is, he could have marshaled that into an opportunity, like you say, for other appearances. Mm-hmm. But now he's going to be viewed as the liability he should be viewed as. Yep. Because of his hubris.
Now he's going to
arrogance.
Right. He's going to be looked at as the guy who didn't keep his word, or who wanted to change things after the fact, right? So there's also this list that came out. I believe it was Money Geek who came out with this list, and it is the safest small towns and cities in every state. So they went across the country and they looked at crime cost per capita, and they came up with this list. And I'm going to give you a guess. What is the safest small town in the great state of Indiana?
I'm going to have to say Carmel.
You're very close.
Noblesville.
What if I'm going to give you a hint, okay? I'm just going to say Nigel. Does that do it for you?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Zionsville. Yes, Zionsville. Congratulations to Zionsville.
Zionsville's a nice community. Have you walked through Zionsville recently?
Not recently. I mean, I've been there a few times, for many soccer games over the years, because they've got a large, soccer contingency in Zionsville. But the cost, what is it? It is crime cost per capita in Zionsville is $51. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's
pretty low comparatively.
I mean, just because of the high pressure that I'm always under, living in the east side of Indianapolis, like I can actually feel myself relaxing walking the streets of Zionsville, because you don't have to worry about dodging bullets or unsavory characters or being accosted by strangers. Like, I get it. That makes sense. Zionsville tracks.
I asked
Great town.
Nigel about this, and he said, yes, very safe overall. Some random crazy stuff does happen from time to time, but for the most part, good, solid community. It is 10:29. You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
A psoriasis flare-up can make a walk in the park, well, no walk in the park.
It's that obvious, huh? I've tried so many lotions and creams, but I still have symptoms.
So those don't do enough to treat the inflammation beneath the skin, leaving you with those uncontrolled symptoms.
Makes sense, but what else can I do?
You can get real with your dermatologist so they can help you get clear. Make an appointment and, oh, you're already on it.
Hi, yes, I'd like to make an appointment.
Get real clear about psoriasis at letsgetrealclear.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Express the heartwarming message of Christmas this year and give her a diamond engagement ring from Pierce Jewelers that says, I love you. Remember, shop local, shop smart, shop Pierce Jewelers.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
They're open to it. It's 33 and mostly cloudy downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:30. The war between Israel and Hamas is still going on in the Gaza Strip. Israeli President Isaac Herzog said on Tuesday that the country is willing to engage in talks.
Israel is ready for another humanitarian pause.
The political leader of Hamas is in Cairo today to talk with Egyptian leaders about the Israeli hostages and a possible ceasefire. Former President Trump says the decision of the Colorado Supreme Court to ban him from the state's 2024 presidential ballot is a completely flawed decision. The Colorado High Court said on Tuesday that he violated the 14th Amendment of which is called the insurrectionist ban on January 6th of 2021 when they say that he encouraged the riots at the U.S. Capitol. Tesla drivers had the highest accident rates over the past year, more than any other driver of any other vehicle brand. That's according to a recent study of 30 automotive brands from LendingTree. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
As a caregiver, managing your loved one's health can at times be overwhelming. This is Tina McIntosh, president of Joy's House and co-host of the Caregiver Crossing radio program. In a moment, I'll share 3 tips to help you manage your loved one's medical care effectively.
At Cardon Senior Living Communities, you'll find our teams share a commitment to enhancing the lifestyle and well-being of the people we serve every day at every stage of life.
Tip number 1, keep a list of all medications, dosages, and schedules to ensure your loved one is taking their medication correctly. Second, attend doctor's appointments with your loved one when you're able. And finally, stay organized by keeping forms, notes, and other important documents in one secure place. More tips like this are available anytime at caregivercrossingradio.org. With new weekly content created by Joy's House and distributed in partnership with Network Indiana, we're an on-air and online support group for Hoosier family caregivers. Hear conversations with experts, access a library of online education, and more at caregivercrossingradio.org.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. It's time to hear from you. Kendall and Casey present Voicemails. Brought to you by QC Kinetics for non-surgical regenerative medicine treatments at 317-559-PAIN.
317-684-8444. That is the phone number if you'd like to contribute. Questions, comments, smart remarks. It is time to hear your voicemails with the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. Now, normally, Ethan, we like to keep the voicemails a little bit shorter, a little quicker, right? Right. We got a couple phone calls today, and they're all a little bit longer. And I don't know if it was because, well, this is my last day before I take a few days off and I was feeling lazy, or because they had good things to say. Whichever you pick, or let the Colorado Supreme Court decide for you which is the reason. But our first phone call, and Ethan, this one I believe is directed towards you.
Uh-oh.
We've been talking about polling a lot lately because all the polls have been coming out, and many of them saying how terrible Joe Biden is doing. But here's a phone call about polls.
Hey, I'm listening to you. You're talking about polls. I thought I heard you the other day talking about polls. I don't know if this is the same guy. But what really grates me about these dudes is, the polls there was cheating, dude. Say that. Qualify it. Everything else is qualified. When you talk about Trump, I love Trump, blah, 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 blah. Guy qualifies everything when it comes to Trump. How about the fraud? You don't think they cheated in the mayoral election in Indianapolis? I'm not saying demographics don't bear it out that there's a lot more Democrats in Marion County, but they are cheating. They cheated in the red wave. There was a red wave. Where's Carrie Lake? She should be senator. Where's Blake, whatever the dude name out in Nevada, should be a senator. As much as you don't like Dr. Oz, there's no way he got beat by that moron Fetterman, and there's no way Herschel Walker, the most beloved athlete in the history of Georgia, didn't get 200,000 down votes, coattails the way Brian Kemp did, and lost to Raphael Warnock, a total fraud. And I mean, this guy drives me nuts, and so many of them do it. Mail-in balloting, lot boxes. There's all kinds of reporting on the Gateway Pundit, Breitbart, you name it, any conservative site, about all kinds of fraudulent stuff. Suitcases being pulled out. The whole thing was stolen, not to mention the suppression on Facebook and Twitter and the laptop and the 10 million people that would have voted for Trump had they known it. I mean, on and on and on. And this guy talks about it like, well, all these polls are, they're never going to win. Yeah, because they stole the election, knucklehead. Why don't you say that?
He's calling you a knucklehead. Nothing?
Okay. I mean, if he thinks the Indianapolis election was stolen, I don't know how to help those levels of crazy conspiracy theory, because that's beyond the pale. I mean, what to say nothing of the lousy campaign that Jefferson Shreve ran. I mean, okay, look, if you want to point to a couple states in 2020, but if you think 2022 was stolen, the Indianapolis mayor's race was stolen, why didn't they steal the election from Lauren Boebert in Colorado? Remember, her election came down to just a handful of votes. It was well within the grasp of the Democratic Party. They could have gotten rid of that lunatic that's beating off her boyfriend in the theater, but no. Whoa. Turns out they counted the votes there. So, and then why would you even run an election that is rigged? That blows my mind. But okay, whatever.
Okay, all right.
I'm happy to be unpopular with those kinds of viewpoints.
Okay, we also got a phone call. We talked about the new bill that Governor Abbott in Texas, he signed, and somebody wanted to call and talk about his decision to do that and also his responsibility.
Yeah. Hey, with regard to the governor of Texas, passing local laws, it's going to be kind of dicey with relation to immigration. But the other side of it is, don't forget that all the states are equally responsible for enforcing the Constitution as well as the federal laws. So, there's nothing in there that doesn't allow him to, lock the borders and keep the undesirables out if you apply, enforcement of the Constitution. So he is obligated to do that, too, irrespective of what Biden or any other yo-yos in Washington say.
Okay, so Texas is going to begin authorizing state and local police to arrest migrants believed to be in the state illegally, and this is supposed to take effect early 24. Many civil rights groups have already said that they would file a lawsuit over this bill, and it's most likely destined to go to the U.S. Supreme Court.
These are how disputes are resolved. This is how we carve out policy in this country, and Greg Abbott certainly has the responsibility to try. I believe, based on the way the Constitution has been interpreted and enforced, that his law would be struck down by the Supreme Supreme Court because it's under the purview of the federal government. But it remains a lingering question, and that's why we challenge those laws and have the ability to air it through the Supreme Court process. So they can make the ultimate ruling there. And it would be ultimately beneficial to the country if they did find that governors have the authority to enforce those boundaries, because it would give a lot more authority to start fixing these problems, at least at the state level, if the federal government is going to leave us hanging and not live up to their obligations.
Yeah, Abbott, blaming Joe Biden, said that his failure to enforce federal immigration laws has resulted in Texas attempting to curb immigration, but he also said Joe Biden's deliberate inaction has decimated America. Okay, we also had a conversation yesterday about how the Pope has said he's given approval for priests to bless same-sex couples, and however, there's a little bit of confusion between the headlines and what the actual Vatican document said. The document reaffirms that the sacrament of marriage is still between a man and a woman, and it also says that priests may bless same-sex couples, but not to be confused with the ritual of the sacrament of marriage. So more or less the priest can bless the individuals, but it's not any sort of acknowledgement that that is a wedding.
Right.
Somebody wanted to call and have a conversation about that.
Yeah, good morning, Casey. You're doing a great job, whoever you have with you, and so far we've enjoyed listening to you. I wanted to weigh in on some of the conservative talkers right now are talking about the Pope's remark about blessing the gay marriages. May I suggest that as a temporary guest host for maybe a few minutes, you get the resident Catholic, Pat Sullivan, on to weigh in on this. But as the non-resident Southside Catholic here, I want to weigh in on it real quick myself. And in the Bible, the Lord said, forgive, love the sinner, not the sin. Love the sinner, not the sin, is what his remark was. And that's essentially where the Pope's coming from. He didn't speak ex cathedra, so this is not one of those things where they can say, well, this is definitely the rule because he spoke as a Pope, and we all know ex cathedra is the official thing and infallible. He didn't speak that way. He just said, and I'm sure this was maybe part of his Christmas message to come. The original statement was way back in October, and now they're just now bringing it up. But before any more controversy comes over this and Catholics start screaming and running from the exits, suggest maybe get Pat on and maybe have him call one of his priests, like maybe Monsignor Shado, to weigh in on this. It's not that big a thing. I don't know why anybody's making anything of it. It's just the Pope being the Pope. Now about the Pope's ideas.
Okay, so the document also reinforces that any blessing that a priest does, it shouldn't be done at the time of a civil union. And also the priest isn't supposed to wear any clothes or use gestures that would signal that it's a wedding, like a typical Catholic wedding.
I thought we already had a resident Catholic in the studio. We don't need to invite Pat Sullivan in.
I mean, if Pat wants to come in, he can, but, that's okay. Hey, let's talk about what's going on with Indiana Medicaid facing a $1 billion deficit. Medicaid in Indiana projected to have nearly, $1 billion deficit over the next few years. $1 billion? That's quite a miscalculation, don't you think? The Family and Social Services Administration, the FSSA, they presented their numbers to the State Budget Committee, and they say they weren't using the most up-to-date forecast. They weren't the most recent numbers. And they also say that more people signed up for Medicaid, so that was the $1 billion mistake.
Who could have imagined that by grossly expanding Medicaid in Indiana to entice federal dollars and federal funding, it would result in a disastrous shortfall? Because it turns out you can't pay for the entire state. What's it up to? I think 1 in every 5, 1 in every 4 Hoosiers potentially receiving some form of Medicaid benefits. And yes, to the tune of billions of dollars. That's expensive.
Okay, so the FSSA, they talked about what they're doing to prevent this from happening again.
Monitoring really on a monthly basis at a very detailed level around enrollment and expenditures, utilization, so that we can see very close to real time what might be driving increases in cost and respond appropriately.
So I guess I have to assume that those careful and important measures have not been employed up until now.
we have an opportunity to improve in the, I guess, level of detail we are reviewing that type of information.
I'll take that as a yes, thank you.
Okay. So Holcomb says that they're going to tap into reserves to cover the cost. $1 billion.
Wow. So no cuts. No. There's never any cuts. It's always spend more.
And isn't it, Rob always says you wouldn't trust these people to run your local Wendy's.
Right.
And
they'd run it into the ground.
I think we've got a $1 billion reason why. We understand he says that. It is 10:44. It's the Kendall and Casey Show. It's 93 WIBC.
It's the Hammer and Nigel Show. Biden's border crisis getting even worse. Plus, the gun guy, Guy Relford, filling in for Hammer. It's at 3 o'clock, 93 WIBC.
Hey, guys, it's Rob. You know, Christmas is Monday, and this weekend there's all sorts of great things going on at Life Church. If you've been looking for a new church home or maybe even a first church home, now would be the perfect time to check out Life Church. They've got incredible Christmas Eve services at their Noblesville campus. They've got incredible Christmas Eve services. So just an incredible opportunity for them to meet and welcome you. Life Church has campuses all across central Indiana, including Noblesville, Fishers, Eagle Creek, and Pendleton, in addition to awesome online services. Learn more about it all, lifechurchin.com.
Attention taxpayers. If you or your business owe the IRS back taxes or have years of unfiled tax returns, the IRS has green-lighted billions of dollars in tax relief to those facing financial hardship through its tax relief initiatives. If you have a delinquent tax problem and possibly facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, audits, or already in a payment plan, you may now qualify for significant relief. Qualifying and enrolling in this program could stop all collections, settle your tax problem, and may even reduce what you owe by up to 99%. Call the hotline at Tax Help USA to see if you qualify by dialing 800-831-1510. If you or your business owe at least $10,000 in back taxes to the IRS or state, you can now get the help that you need during these hard economic times. Call Tax Help USA to get your free tax assessment to see what you qualify for by dialing 800-831-1510. 800-831-1510. That's 800-831-1510.
Your love isn't confined to an Advent calendar. It doesn't stop when the Christmas lights come down. With the Salvation Army, your love lasts all year long. It puts a Christmas present under someone's tree today and a roof over someone's head tomorrow. It brightens Christmas morning and the hardest nights for hardworking families. Together, we love beyond Christmas. Give $25 a month to support local families all year long at sacentralindiana.org.
Hi, this is Mark Chester from Marshall Mechanical. On behalf of Eric Marshall and our whole team at Marshall Mechanical, we would like to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. If you have a home heating emergency during the holidays, please feel free to give us a call at 317-738-5940 or find us online at callthemarshallnow.com.
Marshall Mechanical is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Major phone carriers make you sign contracts with rigid data plans to trap you into a kind of forced phonogamy. Sounds pretty insecure if you ask me. At Consumer Cellular, we believe in a more consensual and healthy form of phonogamy, free of contracts and more flexible to your data needs. This way, you stick around not because we force you to with contracts and fees, but because you love our phone plans. Like ardently love our phone plans. Phonogamously. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Sip, savor, and win. Toast to making this holiday season a success. With Conn's Fine Wines. Head to the WIBC.com contest page and enter for your chance to win a $50 gift card from Conn's Fine Wines.
Good morning. It is 10:47. You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. Rob with the day off. Ethan Hatcher in. Hey, we have to update everybody. We were talking about Tommy DeVito, the Giants player who was invited to go to that restaurant, and then he doubled his price, and then they canceled on him. And then somebody said, wait a second, he ended up going Tommy DeVito ended up going to the restaurant. It was a pizzeria,
Yeah,
right?
credit to Vic Ferrari in the chat for pointing out that, yes, indeed, he did eventually make good on this appearance, and he showed up for free, and he even held the pizzeria owner's baby, gave him a kiss on the head. He's like, please forgive me. I'm sorry. Love me, fans. Love me.
Yeah, somebody said, not cool, dude. and instead of charging them, you need to go and do it gratis and hold the baby. Make good. Okay, so
that's some karmatic justice right there, because you roll the dice for double and get nothing. It's double or nothing, and you got nothing.
Well, that was the right thing to do. I mean, he shouldn't have doubled his rate, and instead he got called out for it. Somebody said, you look like a real jerk for doing that.
You look like a tool,
Yeah,
sportsman.
and so what do you got to do? You got to show up for free and make it all good. Okay, so now has he opened the door with his contrition for any multi-million-dollar deals now?
In the industry, I believe we call that a make good. So sure, yeah.
So go ahead, sponsor away, anybody who wants to. Can we talk about Ted Cruz for just a minute?
Sure.
He has called on 3 different university presidents to resign in disgrace. He's also saying that the wide open border is an invitation to come in and commit acts of terror. And he has also said that Vice President Kamala Harris is showing far too much sympathy for the Palestinian side of the Israel. Gaza, what's going on in Gaza.
Yeah, there is a
Hamas
shocking amount of sympathy for Hamas.
He said that she is undermining Israel. So he was also at the Turning Point annual event. This is America Fest 2023, and he was on a roll. These guys, they're letting their hair down at this event. I feel
they're playing the hits in front of a friendly audience.
They are playing the hits in front of. Right. And many times it feels like it's not really broadcast worthy, but we're going to roll the dice and we're going to go for it anyway, too. Okay, so here he is, and he's got a lot to say about Joe Biden.
Joe Biden knows what a woman is. I'll give you proof. He only sniffs the hair of girls.
Who's writing his material?
A little spicy there, a little spicy.
He also goes on and talks about who liberal women want to date, or in this case, who they don't want to date.
Left is so bad. They're so unhappy. They're so pissed off. And by the way, if you were a liberal woman and you had to sleep with those weenies, you'd be pissed too.
Okay.
Yep. He's not done. Do you got time for one more?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay.
I think we've already reached the peak with Ted Cruz talking about other people's junk, but let's see if he outdoes himself.
Oh, he's going to, Ethan.
Okay.
I'm telling you. Here he is making a comment about Joe Biden and how he travels.
Listen, we have a president of the United States who his team carries extra pairs of pants with him when he travels. In case he has poopy pants.
That's a
incontinence in chief.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so this is going on at the same event, and we hear from Tucker Carlson, and these are Tucker's thoughts on Donald Trump's VP pick.
I mean, but the case, I kind of like Vivek. I think he's one of those people who everyone beats up on Vivek for he's a phony and all this stuff. I don't know. I've covered a lot of campaigns going back to 1992, and I've noticed this thing in many candidates, and I notice it in him. The process of running for president and speaking 3 times a day and having people throw hostile questions in your face causes you to change. They all change during these campaigns, like for real, inside. And I feel like Vivek's positions have gotten much more sincere since the beginning of this. Like I watch him with Nikki Haley, and I'm like, this is a guy who's very offended by her views, like for real. He's not attacking her because she's a woman. He's attacking her because he actually thinks her views are terrible for the country he lives in. And I love that.
shining the corruption on Nikki Haley is one of the most productive things that Vivek Ramaswamy has done. I happen to think he fell apart in the fourth debate. Like, that really turned me off of his campaign. Otherwise, I mean, he had been a promising lead.
I don't think he's being so much fake as he is unfiltered. And I thought Tucker brought up a good point that you can see how they morph, or some people would say grow, throughout the campaign. Their talking points start at one area, and where they end up, you can see kind of the evolution of their campaign. I believe that Ron DeSantis may be one of the only ones who has delivered the same message consistently over time. He's been talking about his success in Florida, and he has kept on that. And, you know, his anti-woke push and everything, and his how he didn't like what happened during COVID, and how he was different, how he governed different. He's been keeping on that same message this whole time.
And that's what he needs to do.
Well, not if you look at the polls. Maybe that's part of his problem.
He's not connecting with the zeitgeist, which that is an unfortunate reality sometimes of politics. And part of it has to do with the fact that Donald Trump is commanding such attention, in part because of the way the Democrats have weaponized the political process against him. And it makes many Republicans feel obligated to support the former president, if for no other reason than to stop the Democrats in their tracks from ever attempting this again.
Yeah, well, we heard from the former GOP chair who said that, the electorate is angry right now. And if you think they were angry in 2016, just wait until now. They're even angrier. All right, let's talk about this poll. 65% of men agree that if a woman identifies herself as this on a date, it's a red flag.
A man.
Yeah. I would think that would be 100%, but you never know. So bad smells, loud talking, and getting too close too quickly are all red flags when dating someone new.
Yeah, I saw that. They said a red flag was it was a red flag when they started breaching into the privacy space, I think was the quote. I mean, back in my day, getting women to breach the privacy space I thought was the goal, but maybe things have changed.
You're too close. Back off. You're invading my space. Okay, well, the most common red flag, they say, for men, 2/3 agreeing with this. I don't know why it's only 2/3. If your partner identifies as a communist, that's a red flag. You think?
Good call, guys. Based.
You think? Now, on the other side of this poll, for women, they were saying that a red flag for them, oh boy, if you're a MAGA Republican. How is anybody getting together these days?
Well, they're not.
Oh, there it is.
Well, they've already done studies. People are doing less banging than ever before, so.
It's the Kendall and Casey Show. It's 93 WIBC. Good morning.
Have you saved enough? Do you have a plan for Social Security and taxes in retirement? Hey, Casey Weed of Howard Bailey Financial, where our mission is to help you gain clarity and purpose and elevate meaning in your life through personal and practical financial strategies. That's why we want to give you our Retire with Purpose Toolkit at no cost. In it, you'll find valuable information on minimizing taxes, maximizing Social Security, and building a retirement income you can't outlive. Plus, you'll receive a copy of my book, Job Optional. To get your complimentary toolkit, call or text the keyword info 42 to 866-482-9559. That's info 42 to 866-482-9559.
Howard Bailey Financial is the official wealth management partner of Notre Dame Athletics. Notre Dame Athletics was compensated for this endorsement and is not a current client of Howard Bailey. For more information, please visit howardbailey.com/ND disclosure. Investment advisory services may be offered through Howard Bailey Securities LLC, a registered investment advisor. Working with Howard Bailey Securities LLC cannot guarantee investment success or that specific financial goals will be achieved.
Garage Doors of Indianapolis is everything that's right about Central Indiana. They've been locally family owned for 50 years, helping helping our local economy remain strong by employing 70 families. Garage Doors of Indianapolis is proud to do business right here in the great state of Indiana. They're a conservative-minded company that shares our values and stands by their products and services. You can call Garage Doors of Indianapolis today for service today. 875-4577, 875-4577, or visit doorstoday.com.
Ah, the holiday party. Conn's Fine Wines will make your holiday merry. Conn's has hand-selected single-barrel bourbons and the largest selection of cellared vintage wines. Want big? Conn's Fine Wines has Magnums, the biggest inventory of the biggest bottles, the best selection of craft beers, and more. Want it delivered? Only 99 cents delivery with online purchase of $50 or more. Conn's Fine Wines has been locally owned and family operated since 1979. Visit Conn's Fine Wines at 54th and Keystone to make your cork pop.
Jessica, this is the happiest day of my life. Right up there with the day I bought my RV and insured it with Progressive. Man, I love that thing. There are a million fish in the sea, which I'm reminded of every time I bring my RV to the lake, but I vow to love and cherish you just as much as I cherish campsites with full electric and water hookups. I'm so sorry.
Protect your beloved with an RV policy from Progressive. Take as little as 4 minutes to see what you could save at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Tune in Saturdays 9 to 1 for the Home and Garden Show for advice and fun. Brought to you by Michaelis. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it.
Pierce Jewelers has a spectacular array of diamond earrings, diamond pendants, diamond rings, and diamond bracelets. They shop the world to bring you the very best. Shop local, shop smart, shop Pierce Jewelers.
Coming up in 2 minutes, a lot of cash that the state will have to find a way to make up for next year. Plus, the future of Circle Center Mall may be a little clearer now, and how a South Bend cop saved this little girl's life. I'm Kirk Darling. That and more coming up from the Peterman Brothers Heating, Plumbing, and Electrical Studios after Fox News Radio. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 11 o'clock.
Colorado's Republican Party has a plan B. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. If the state Supreme Court ruling is upheld, kicking former President Trump off the 2024 primary ballot for violating a Civil War-era provision in the Constitution, they'll switch from a primary to a caucus where they don't need ballots. The Trump campaign calls the ruling undemocratic, vowing to appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. Even the former president's Republican challengers oppose the Colorado decision. Nikki Haley says,
I want to see this in the hands of the voters. We're going to win this the right way.
We are also hearing from the plaintiffs who filed this lawsuit in Colorado. They say, we are gratified by the Supreme Court's determination that Trump is disqualified from appearing on any Colorado ballot. He betrayed his oath to the Constitution by engaging in insurrection against it, and by doing so, he made himself ineligible for public office.
Fox's Mark Meredith. The former president has been indicted for his post-2020 election conduct, but is not charged with insurrection. Hamas's leader is in Egypt for talks on another possible ceasefire in Gaza. But Israel's prime minister just said they will not stop fighting until Hamas is defeated.
The United States reportedly wants Israel to wrap up this phase of the war by the end of the year. The Biden administration hopeful that a new lower intensity phase in the fighting could allow more humanitarian supplies to enter the Gaza Strip.
Fox's Trey Yingst in Israel. A ceasefire could include another Israeli hostage for Palestinian prisoner swap. The U.S. has just worked out a prisoner swap with Venezuela, releasing a close ally of President Nicolas Maduro in exchange, the AP reports, for some Americans behind bars in Venezuela. The fiery orange flow has slowed from a volcano eruption in Iceland.
But some of Iceland's scientists say it's too soon to know exactly what could come next. Right now, 3 vents of lava are still spewing from a long crack in the Earth's surface. Experts warning more vents could open up.
That's Fox's CB Cotton. The flow apparently away from a village that already had been evacuated. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
A clearer future for a struggling mall. It's partly cloudy and 37 downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:02. Circle Center Mall here in Indianapolis has a new owner, Hendricks, which is a Wisconsin-based property management company that also operates Bottle Works and Iron Works, has bought the mall and plans to revamp it. It's part of about a $600 million investment. A shortfall in Medicaid funding in Indiana is being blamed on more people enrolling in the program than originally originally thought. It's about $1 billion, and that's according to Chris Johnston, who heads up the state's budget office. He says Medicaid spending is nearly double what they had planned for.
This amount of growth cannot continue, so there's going to be some tough decisions ahead, I believe.
Meaning possible cuts to spending. Mennonites in northern Indiana are telling Indiana's lawmakers in Washington to push harder for a ceasefire to the fighting in Gaza.
We are opposed to the just blanket support of violence being funded in our names.
Anna Johnson, a member of the Mennonite Church who helped organize a protest outside of the Mishawaka office of Congressman Rudy Yakum. He has responded to that protest, saying that he supports Israel's right to defend itself against Hamas terrorists. A South Bend couple brought their child to a police station recently
because that child wasn't breathing. I'm Ryan Hedrick, and Officer Brian Metter was working at his desk and finishing up his shift. In a video posted on the department's social media page, Metter runs out to the lobby, grabs the child, and begins chest compressions. Those compressions helped the child to start breathing again, and paramedics took them to the hospital. South Bend police say they expect the child to make a full recovery. Ryan Hedrick, 93 WIBC. Mobile News.
Posh Alexander of the Butler Bulldogs says that they're out to prove people wrong this year.
Everybody talked down on us. Everybody talked bad on us, saying that we're a horrible team. We're not good. We're not great. Just using that as motivation and just going out there and want to win, playing defense, and just bringing my team along. So that's what really happened tonight.
He had 13 points, leading the Dogs to a 74-64 win over Georgetown to start Big East play last night. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Do you get sinus infections, congestion, sinus pressure and pain, above your eyes, below your eyes, sinus headaches? You've gone to the doctor, you've visited urgent care over and over again, and it's always the same thing. Oh, I know. Let's try antibiotics and nasal sprays. But the sinus infections keep coming back. The good news? Relief is possible. How? A minimally invasive procedure done in the office of Indianapolis Sinus Center, called balloon sinuplasty. Imagine the relief of not having to deal with your sinus infections anymore. Set an appointment today with Indianapolis Sinus Center and find out if balloon sinuplasty is the solution for you. Call 317-528-9650. 317-528-9650. That's 317-528-9650.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by Pierce Jewelers. Shop local, shop smart, shop Pierce Jewelers.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Wednesday, December 20th. It is 5 minutes after 11. You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. Rob Kendall has the day off, and Ethan Hatcher joins me in the studio. Hey, Ethan, did you ask for permission to wear that shirt today?
I forgot to run it by the Colorado Supreme Court.
I think from now on, anything you feel like you want to do, you're going to have to double check with them because now
they are the authority.
They are the authority on everything. You feel like you want to vote for Donald Trump? Well, they're not going to let you have that opportunity. Of course, they had an unprecedented move as the Colorado Supreme Court removed Donald Trump from the 24 ballot, not only taking his name off the ballot, but the Secretary of State not allowing anybody to do any write-ins either.
It's incredible. It's a usurpation of electoral authority and a complete bastardization of the process. But, sure, go ahead. Invite further scrutiny from the Supreme Court, who is definitely going to intervene here.
So what you've got here is 4 lawyers who have decided that their views outweigh yours. Their views are
more important
than yours.
Yeah.
Their views are more correct than yours. And so much so that you're not even going to get an opportunity to express your views.
If this isn't election interference, I'm not sure what would qualify. The fact you're taking away voters' even opportunity to make this election.
Yeah. Keeping your political opponent from even running. What What does that sound like? Does that sound like maybe, I don't know, a dictator?
Yeah, sounds like a kangaroo republic.
The same thing that they're calling Donald Trump, isn't that the way of it? Narcissistic, manipulative behavior. They'll blame you for what they're doing, calling Donald Trump a dictator when in fact they're the ones trying to keep him off the ballot.
That's the authoritarianism in action.
Mm-hmm.
Because Donald Trump never interfered with his opponent's ability to enter into the race.
No, he didn't. He didn't, and he didn't censor anybody. He didn't take anybody off the ballot, and he never stole anything from anybody. I mean, you've got him not being convicted of insurrection. No one involved in January 6th was convicted of insurrection. Trump was never charged with insurrection.
So then, how could the 14th
No
Amendment
one was
possibly
charged insurrection.
apply? It can't.
And he was acquitted on the second impeachment of charges that related to the events of January 6th. So it's a whole lot of hooey, and you've got people who claim to be for democracy and for America, yet they'll tell you how you can vote. So that doesn't really sound like a democracy to me.
It's going to backfire. Every time they try to attack Donald Trump, it only increases his stature and increases his prominence. Now with the, what is it going on, 4 separate criminal indictments of varying levels against Donald Trump, what it has showed is the weaponization of the Justice Department and in many ways proven some of his theories right.
So the Trump campaign has said that they're going to swiftly appeal, no doubt, and they describe the ruling as being a completely flawed decision. Many people, including Alan Dershowitz, he says the Supreme Court will most likely rule against the Colorado court. And again, you've got these 4 unelected academic lawyers who are trying to determine the fate of the country. But in doing so, let's just put Colorado in the column for Trump at this point.
Yeah.
Because it's going to backfire on him. Here's a reaction from Vivek Ramaswamy when he found out.
They have just tried to bar President Trump from the Colorado ballot using an unconstitutional maneuver that is a bastardization of the 14th Amendment to our U.S. Constitution. This was a provision, Section 3, that was designed to bar Confederate members, people who switched to the Confederacy, from actually being able to serve. That's very different than what's at issue here, to say the least. This is a hollowed out husk of what the country was built on. The basic principle that we, the people, select our leadership, not the unelected elite class in the back of palace halls. That's old world Europe, not the United States. That's why I'm making a pledge today that I will withdraw, I pledge to withdraw from the Colorado GOP primary ballot unless and until Trump's name is restored. And I demand that Ron DeSantis and Chris Christie and Nikki Haley do the same thing, or else these Republicans are simply complicit in this unconstitutional attack on the way we conduct our constitutional republic. I refuse to be complicit in that. I think what they're doing is wrong, and I think it's up to Republicans to step up and stand up with a spine for our country's future. That's really what's at stake, whether we, the people, actually have a say in deciding who leads this country.
Okay, so the Colorado GOP came out and they said that they're going to just change and go to a caucus then.
I think that's a brilliant workaround. I didn't appreciate the strategic brilliance of that in the first segment.
Ron DeSantis just said that the decision to remove Trump from the ballot is all part of an elaborate plan to ensure that he becomes the nominee. And he then said that you need to vote for him because the deep state won't target him like they do Trump. And there's a new poll out that says 1 in 3 voters who backed Trump in 2020 say America needs a president willing to break some laws to set things right. But Donald Trump didn't break he didn't get charged.
Yeah, that's a weird way. I would blame the phrasing on the pollster of that, probably.
Willing to break some laws to set things right.
Well, don't we have that problem with President Biden right now?
Right.
And his refusal to enforce the border.
I wanted to play this audio from Vivek Ramaswamy. You say that he's pulling a Biden when he's doing this.
Yeah.
He was challenging somebody to these are football players in Iowa. and he was challenging them to push-ups, right?
Yeah.
And he does it pretty easily, it looks like.
Ready to go? Let's go, brother. 30. Yeah. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 out, 9, 10 out, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30.
I'm exhausted. They're still going, by the way. They stopped counting, but they're still going, doing the push-ups.
Vivek can do push-ups, but doesn't that remind you of what President Biden was doing in 2020, making the rounds and challenging voters to, I'll do a push-up fight with you, Jack?
What do you remember? You're talking about when he called that voter fat, right? And
listen, fat, here's the deal.
Right? I believe because the internet's forever, we don't have to go back too far. That was only in 2020, but here is Joe Biden challenging someone to push-ups.
You're a damn liar, man. That's not true. And no one has ever said that? No one has heard that? No? You see it on the TV. No, I know you do. And by the way, that's why I'm not sedentary. I get up and no, let him go. Let him go. Look, the reason I'm running is because I've been around a long time and I know more than most people know. And I can get things done. That's why I'm running. And you want to check my shape on? Let's do push-ups together here, man. Let's run. Let's do whatever you want to do. Let's take the NP test. Number two. No one has said my son has done anything wrong, and I did not on any occasion. And no one has ever said it. Not one. I didn't say you were doing anything wrong. You said I set up my son to work in an oil company. Isn't that what you said? Get your words straight, Jack.
Jack.
But you're on MSNBC. You don't hear that in MSNBC. You did not hear that.
So isn't that ultimately a deflection of the issue? Because there the voter was confronting him about the Burisma appointment and Biden, getting the prosecutor fired for investigating his son. And so instead of talking about what's going on, we talk about push-ups. And like Vivek, instead of talking about policy positions and ideas, we're going to do push-ups with the crowd. And it enamored both sides. The Democrats thought that was just absolutely what? Oh, yay, President Biden's going to do push-ups. And you got the football players like, yeah, right on, Vivek. But that doesn't get to the heart of the issue. That doesn't tell me what kind of leader they're going to be. I'm not jazzed by this. This doesn't impress me.
You don't like the idea that Vivek is showing that he's got youth on his side? Because I think
he's
ultimately
got youth on his side. He's
but
like
I think that's
40.
what he was trying to do, though. I mean, he's just trying to show the difference between himself, where you have Vivek who's actually doing the push-ups, they're counting them off, and then you've got Joe Biden who's saying, I'll challenge you to a push-up contest. And then they just walk back and forth and yell at each other and not one push-up is done. Because you know, Ethan, how that would go. He'd get down on the ground, he would do no push-ups, and then he would need help getting back up. Whereas Vivek jumps down on the ground, busts out 30 push-ups, and pops back up. No problem.
Didn't crack his knees.
Didn't hurt anything. And I think he's just hammering away the point that he's got the stamina and he's got the virility to not only campaign, which he's doing, which you really don't see Joe Biden doing much at all, but, to also do the things that are physically required of a person to be president. It's a taxing job. You probably get 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night, unless you're Joe Biden, whose wife is telling him he needs more sleep. More sleep? What is that going to do? Maybe if he sleeps more, he'll make less decisions, and that's okay with everybody. So, you know what? As I'm talking this out right now, I think maybe Joe Biden is right. He should go to sleep.
Just go take a nap.
Take a really long nap and stop doing stuff. It is 17 after 11. It is the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
I alphabetized my soundboard. Well, I'm sorry, you didn't hear that. F?
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
I have to go to S for Sopranos. Makes sense.
Yeah, I think you got it.
It's so clean now. It's fantastic. Yeah, we have clearly run out of things to talk about. There's nothing else going on in the world.
It's a great world, everything's so.
This show is stupid.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Well-changing question. Are you keeping as much of your investment gains as possible? High taxes can erode returns quickly, so you need a tax-optimized portfolio. At Creative Planning, our money managers and specialists work together to make sure your portfolio and wealth are managed in a tax-efficient manner. It's what you keep that really matters. Why not give your wealth a second look? Book your free meeting today at creativeplanning.com. Creative Planning, a richer way to wealth.
Want to know how to get the same cell coverage for up to half the cost? Well, instead of spending a fortune building and maintaining their own cell phone towers, Consumer Cellular just pays to use the same towers as the largest carriers and passes the savings on to you. Pretty smart, huh? Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Half the cost savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single-line 5GB data plan with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single-line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plan offered by T-Mobile and Verizon May 2023.
Life is a collection of moments that last forever, so make them matter and make them count with a symbol of everlasting love. A diamond from Pierce Jewelers. Shop local, shop smart, shop Pierce Jewelers.
We're here early before they wake up. We stay late, we stay informed, we invest in the latest technology.
We take the time to train the next generation of doctors and nurses. We work together to make sure we heal their bodies and their minds.
We do this not because it's our job, but because this is about our veterans' lives. This is our mission. More than 300,000 of us working as one, together with families and loved ones. No matter where they live in this country, we'll be there.
We all come together and stand together to serve our veterans. We stand strong, united. Stand with us in caring for our veterans.
It's the Kendall and Casey Show.
Dale Griffith, how the hell are you?
Well, I'm still $1 million shy of being a millionaire.
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is 20 minutes after 11. This is the Kendall and Casey Show. It's 93 WIBC. My name is Casey. Rob Kendall has the day off. Ethan Hatcher joining me in the studio. You ready to talk about dogs again today?
Yeah, I like pooches.
The reason we're doing that is because Forbes just released a new survey, and they asked 10,000 dog owners nationwide to find out which state spoiled their pooches the most.
Where did Indiana rank on that list?
Oh, you know what? Indiana did not rank in the top 10. In fact, the survey said that pet owners in Oklahoma spoil their dogs the least, followed by Indiana.
Whoa!
Uh-huh.
What do you mean?
Yeah, we're not doing so hot and treating our puppies good.
People love their dogs in Indiana.
Wisconsin, Idaho, New Mexico, and South Carolina also not the best pet owners, according to this survey.
Okay.
The states that did do very well, Florida, Alaska, Washington, Colorado, probably because they're told to, California, New Jersey, Illinois, Texas, Delaware, and also Virginia.
It's quite a spread.
Yeah, Florida topped the list. 66% saying that they spend more money on their dog's health and grooming than their own. I have done that so many times because, you know, I have a miniature Schnauzer, Gracie dog, and Schnauzers, they don't shed. It's one of the reasons that I have a Schnauzer is because she's hypoallergenic. But when a dog doesn't shed, that means you have to take them to the groomer to get their hair cut. And there have been many times where I'm frustrated that the dog seems to get their hair done more often than me.
I'm glad I don't have to give any of my cats a haircut. That'd be a nightmare.
Like when the dog is getting groomed more than the human, I would say that that's pretty much a spoiled puppy. You know, they also said that 43% of people in Florida have pushed their dog in a stroller.
Wow. Okay, that's too much.
And 54% regularly throw their dogs birthday parties. Now, I know Rob Kendall has thrown Bruce a birthday party before, but you don't
But
like...
he's never pushed him in a stroller,
Well, we don't
Shirley.
know
Rob
that. We don't know that
Okay.
for sure. But you don't like the idea of the stroller. I would think that
No,
unless
they're not
there's...
infants.
Yeah, unless there's a health issue, maybe an elderly dog with a hip issue, they need that extra exercise. And isn't it that dogs get a lot of exercise from sniffing? Like that gets their heart rate going when they're walking and they're sniffing. It's actually how they get some cardio in, which is...
I didn't realize that was what was going on, but sure, that makes sense.
I mean, if you think about it, walking around and sniffing all the time, in and out, breathing that quickly, it would get your heart rate going.
Well,
Does that explain Biden?
It's something he needs to do, maybe, huh? Yeah.
Get some heart exercise in there.
So ways that people spoil their dogs: taking family photos. Also, what's another one? Oh, buying their dog clothes.
Okay. Sure. I mean, isn't it a process to try and get your animals in the clothes, though? I mean, some are more amenable to this than others, but I would think by and large, most dogs, certainly most cats, are not big fans of when you dress them up.
No, I've tried to put
Or for
a
humans.
little shirt on Gracie before. She doesn't like it. Have you ever seen the dogs when you put like the little boots on their feet and they walk around like what is this? Another way that people spoil their dogs is prepare homemade dog food or order a nice treat for them at a restaurant. Many people will order something for the dog in a doggy bag.
Doggy bag. Now,
to take home to them.
I've known people who have made, for various dietary reasons, their own dog food, you know, like giving them more grains, putting some fresh meat in there, some peas and vegetables and stuff like that. So that makes sense. Again, if your dog has like a need, otherwise, why not go for the dry feed?
You had a story that really bummed you out.
Oh my God, this pissed me off some kind of way. A 26-year-old out of Westfield, what was it, Westfield? Yes, Westfield, Australia.
I don't even want you to say it, really.
Well,
but you have to tell the story.
But you have to. She threw her dog off the top floor of a parking garage, and the dog didn't die. They had to put the dog down because a passerby found her and assumed she'd been hit by a car. And no, of course, she was treated callously by the owner, who later confessed to the crime on Facebook, said she couldn't live with the guilt, and she did her dog a favor by throwing her off the parking garage because all she did was abuse and mistreat her, and so now she's in a better place. Obviously, this woman is a psycho and battling with severe mental issues. She's been put in jail for 12 months because of this and prohibited from owning an animal for 10 years. But if this was a just world, we'd be having an eye for an eye treatment here and see how she likes being thrown off the top floor of a parking garage, because that's absolutely disgusting to do that to animals. And they've shown like pictures of her with the dog, posting it. Like, those animals give us unconditional love, so it's our responsibility to return the favor. And so it bugs me.
It was a Maltese Shih Tzu named Princess, and if the woman knew that she was hurting the dog or abusing the dog,
Give it to somebody else.
Exactly. She knew she had a problem. That's not the proper way to solve the problem.
And all this was caught on a security feed, by the way. So if you want to make yourself cry, go look that up on Twitter.
No, we don't want to watch that video. That woman, she doesn't need.
Somebody should throw her off the top floor of a parking garage.
Okay.
Good luck.
Let's talk about President Potty Mouth. He was giving a eulogy for Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor.
Is it potty mouth, though? Let's play the clip.
You want to play the clip and then discuss?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here's your president.
And prove that a woman can not only do anything a man can do, but many times do it heck of a lot better. Excuse my language, Father.
Excuse my language, Father.
Well, they were in a church.
Well, hell is something you talk about in church. Is it a curse?
I think in the way he used it.
Okay.
He wasn't saying, repent or you'll go to hell. He was, he said,
I don't know. That didn't bother me so much. That didn't faze me. I think it was more.
Do you
shocking.
think people would have noticed had he not said, "Excuse my language, Father"?
That was the funny
he
part.
pointed it out.
oh, excuse my language, Father. I mean, a heck of a.
Yeah. Like, I wonder if it would have just gone over most people's heads.
Yeah,
But since
I think so.
He made people aware
It
of
drew
what he
your
was saying.
attention.
Yeah. He brought more attention to it.
Well, I mean that L Memorial Service has been a disaster after we played the
Honor Guard.
Yeah, Honor
He was
Guard
passing out.
collapsing.
Yeah.
Because she locked her knees, which I didn't know that you could pass out from just standing upright for an extended period of time. That shocks me.
Stand at attention for a few hours. I bet you'll feel a little lightheaded.
That's why I'm not part of the military. I don't have that kind of discipline.
But back to Joe Biden. I mean, did he even really? He was giving a speech. It almost seems like another occasion where he doesn't even realize where he is. He's so not aware.
Can't read from a note card. Can't read from a teleprompter. I mean, he's foggy and usually misspeaks in some capacity.
All right, let's talk about this cruise line bait and switch.
Do we have time?
Yeah, we've got time to get into this. Travelers going on a tropical vacation, left out in the cold. Their cruise ship was headed to Florida and then to the Bahamas?
Well, I think
then it was rerouted?
Yes, I think it departed from Florida. So
Okay.
these people traveled to Florida with the expectation they're departing and they're going to the Bahamas. But then while they were being loaded up, some of the luggage employees like, oh, you're going to Canada. And they laugh it off. Ha! Go Canada.
I brought my bathing suit. No.
Right, we booked these tickets for the Bahamas. You silly goose. Surely that's a joke. And then they show up the next morning in Boston, only to realize that the cruise line had sent out an email the day before talking about how, due to inclement weather, we have to reschedule the voyage, and surprise, you'll be going to Canada instead. Well, that's not the ticket I paid for. And this family of, four, I think, had paid more than $5,000 to be a part of this cruise, and I would definitely be asking for a refund. Not only can you foot the bill for my unexpected trip to Canada and give all the amenities included, but you can give me a full refund and make good for the trip to the Bahamas, because that's unacceptable.
That's not even the same vacation at all. No,
it's not.
You know, I just went on a cruise a few months ago, and we left from Florida, and we went to the Bahamas. But at one point during the cruise, it was supposed to be our day at sea. And the boat turned around and we went back to Fort Lauderdale. Many people on the ship did not even realize that we were not surrounded by water. We were back in port, the same port we had just left 24 hours before. But this was a different instance. It wasn't due to inclement weather. There wasn't any sort of bait and switch. There was somebody on the cruise who was having a medical situation.
Oh.
So they had to get us back to port. That person got off the ship. Apparently, I'm assuming they got the medical attention they needed, and then we went back out to sea and went on to the Bahamas.
This story gets more ironically disastrous because the family that was interviewed for this, she already travels frequently to Boston for her work.
She goes there all the time.
She's already there all the time. And she's like, I didn't want to come back. I want to go to the Bahamas.
What a bummer. It is 11:30. We've got the news coming up. It's 93 WIBC.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
He's planning to challenge. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:30. Former President Trump is off the ballot in Colorado in next year's election thanks to a court ruling, at least for now.
It's the first time Section 3 of the 14th Amendment has ever been used to kick any presidential candidate. In this case, one party's leading candidate off the presidential primary ballot. Now, Colorado's Supreme Court finding that Trump engaged in insurrection on January 6th and therefore is thus barred from holding office again.
Fox's Griff Jenkins. Trump calling the ruling completely flawed. He plans to take the case to the U.S. Supreme Court. The Mexican government is slamming a new Texas law that allows local cops to arrest anybody they believe crossed the border illegally. President Lopez Obrador promised a challenge, calling it inhumane. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Cutting it close with last-minute gift shopping? Helzberg has you covered. It's Helzberg Diamonds must-have holiday sale. Up to 50% off on dazzling lab-grown diamond hoops and stacking bands, diamond pendants, and tennis bracelets. Get the perfect gifts for that special someone. Last-minute shopping has never been so joyful. So don't wait. Head to a Helzberg store near you or Helzberg.com. Offer valid through December 24th. While supplies last, see online or in-store for details.
This is no Jedi mind trick. Star Wars Night is taking over Gamebridge Fieldhouse.
To the lob to the goal, laid off the glass. Count it.
See the Pacers battle the Hornets Wednesday at 7 for Star Wars Night. Get a special Star Wars ticket deal starting at just $25. Plus, score a limited edition Star Wars and Pacers co-branded shirt. Use the Force and head over to Pacers.com/Star Wars to purchase tickets. Pacers Hornets, Wednesday at 7.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZzzQuil.
ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZzzQuil nights. Explore our products at ZzzQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Marcus Morris here with Family Heating and Air. As we're reaching colder weather, you may find yourself in need of furnace service. At Family, we specialize in solutions to extend your furnace life. Call the Fix-It team from Family. You can easily reach us at familyhvac.net. From our family to yours, have a happy holiday.
Family Heating and Air is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Want to save 25 to 75% on your diamond? Come see Pierce Jewelers in Carmel before you spend your hard-earned money somewhere else. Shop local, shop smart, shop Pierce Jewelers.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIPC.
Good morning, 11:34 with the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. Rob Kendall has a day off. Ethan Hatcher is in the studio. And Ethan, the stage at Donald Trump's campaign rally in Iowa featured Christmas-themed decorations. That sounds about right. 'Tis the season, right?
Sure.
No problems there. Many of them included his now infamous Georgia mugshot. You know, he was selling his wrapping paper. It's a picture of him, his mugshot. He's wearing a Santa hat, and it says "Never Surrender." And it's all done in black and white, except for the Santa hat is red. And these were the things that were decorating the stage where he was giving his speech.
Democrats have no one to blame but themselves for making him incredibly marketable.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, he's taking this mugshot, and that's it exactly. He's selling different items with him on it, including those NFT trading cards.
Yeah. Thank you, Democrat Party, for the enormous campaign fundraiser.
Yeah.
For Donald Trump.
Yeah, he announced he's going to be selling off pieces of the suit that he wore during that mugshot as well. And I haven't seen that it's sold out yet, because I feel like that would be another headline right away, like sold out. You know, he would be truthing that out.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
So those things may still be available, but what you can get very easily is his merch. T-shirts, mugs, can coolers, bumper stickers, all featuring his mugshot and the phrase "Never Surrender."
What color were the Christmas trees? I didn't catch that.
It looks like they're green.
They're green? Okay.
Yeah,
well, I remember the leftists threw a fit when Melania brought those red Christmas trees into the White House. And I forget what they said the association was there, but they just mega complaints, big mad.
There's also wrapping paper with Donald Trump. It's green wrapping paper. It's got, you know, a picture of him, and it says "Make America Great Again." Green wrapping paper, white writing, and put your little red ribbon on it, and you're all good to go.
Have yourself a MAGA little Christmas.
What a way to upset the liberals in your life, if you wanted to. You know. Dear liberals, Trump never removed his opponent from a ballot. Dear liberals, Trump never used the government against you. Dear liberals, Trump never censored speech. And yeah, there you go. Merry Christmas.
Passive-aggressive Christmas.
Okay, so let's talk about what happened with Tom Brady. And here's another interesting story. So a San Francisco family was picking up their photos from a CVS.
Yeah.
And they got just a bit of a surprise when they picked up their order, and included were some of the personal photos of Tom Brady by mistake in their order. Can you imagine that? You go to CVS, you're flipping through your photos, and then all of a sudden, there's Tom Brady.
Was their last name Brady too? How'd this mix-up happen?
The mom ordered the photos and picked them up from CVS, and I think what happened is she ordered them digitally, got, you know, how you upload it, and then went to the store to pick them up. But when they were printed, the CVS store actually got them intertwined, and all of a sudden, pictures of Tom Brady. But I think the real question that I have here is not about getting somebody else's photos, but like printing photos, because everything is so digital now.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they're not dropping off film like we used to do, but who's printing photos anymore? Is that still...
Yeah, I actually knew somebody who printed off photos at the CVS all the time because
Really?
he was an autograph seeker. So
Okay.
he'd get photos with these, you know, various famous celebrities. Sometimes he'd print photos of himself, you know, with a celebrity and then have them sign on top of it. Sometimes he'd just have photos of the celebrity and get them to autograph to him, various things. But yeah, going to the CVS all the time.
I can't even think about the last time that I had photos printed. And if it's like almost like special.
Well, you should.
Oh, you took the time?
You should be going to the CVS.
You printed these photos?
Because by keeping all of your pictures and precious memories in the
On my
digital
phone?
sphere, right, or on your phone, you lose a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
You lose so much of that. It doesn't stick around as forever as you would like it to on the internet. And so it's far more prudent to print off those precious memories and most important events while you have the time and while they're in your possession.
Now, I know a lot of...
Nothing beats having a hard copy.
Yeah, I know a lot of women, a lot of people will do like the scrapbooking.
Yeah.
Where they put a lot of time and effort into printing off the picture. And then the bigger deal is all of the papers and stuff around the picture. It's not even so much about the picture when you do that as this work of art that you've created with the stamps and the inks and the
collage.
Yeah, the collage. And it almost seems like the picture becomes secondary to what they've created.
Scrapbook just reminds me of a hope jar, you know, where they stick all the little mementos on.
You wanted to talk about Greta Thunberg. What did she do?
Greta Thunberg, of course, doing her usual rounds, calling for climate activism. Let's see. This was she complained that the COP28 climate deal is toothless, and we need to address the root cause as well. I've got a suggestion for Greta about how we can address climate change, but first, let's roll the tape.
There have been 28 COPs, and that has not led us anywhere, but moving still in the wrong direction.
What do we want? Climate justice!
I think this COP has once again proven that the COP processes are not working in our favor. They are not designed to solve the climate crisis. They are more working as an alibi for world leaders to say that, oh, we signed this, and they're not actually doing anything. If the COPs would have led to anything, we would have seen results by now. Some people say that this is a first step, but we've already had first steps, and that hasn't led us anywhere. The emissions are still increasing. We are experiencing record highs. This text is toothless, and it is nowhere even close to being sufficient to keep us within the 1.5 degree limit. It is a stab in the back for those most vulnerable, and it was undemocratic. It was signed when many island states were not in the room, and that is completely unacceptable, and we cannot talk about climate justice without having the most affected in the room. As long as we don't treat the climate crisis as a crisis, and as long as we keep lobby interests influencing these texts and these processes, we are not going to get anywhere. We need to address the root causes.
Okay, so if Greta wants to address the root causes, I saw a study published in the New York Post which revealed, according to the scientists, and you got to trust the science, Casey,
Sure.
that the, humans are significantly contributing to global warming by breathing, and you can look it up. So if Greta wants to stop global warming right now, I got a good idea on how she can get a head start. Let's hold her breath and see how long that lasts. But Greta can't hold her breath. She's got the blah, blah, blah. She likes to talk. She hasn't changed.
When I say climate change, what do you think of? Blah, blah, blah. There is no planet B. There is no planet blah. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. We can no longer let the people in power decide. Blah, blah, blah. Did you hear me? What do we want? Blah, blah, blah. But it starts with blah. When do we want it? Blah, blah, blah. This is all we hear. What do we want? Blah, blah, blah. What do you think of? They say blah. When do we want it? Blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. This is all we hear from our so-called leaders.
And think about the enormous carbon footprint that Greta by herself is responsible for, jet setting around the world so she can chide us for not doing enough. Good job, you little girl.
Okay, so they say that exhaled human breath can contain small, elevated concentrations of methane and nitrous oxide, both of which contribute to global warming.
And look at how much global warming she created in just that one segment full of hot air.
Did you see how large that crowd was? There was a smattering. There was a smattering of people.
Yep.
Must be the cold weather that we're keeping them away. I like that song, by the way. That actually sounds like that's a good hit.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Tucker Carlson again. He says he hates the idea of a Trump-Haley 24 ticket. Says he wouldn't vote for it because he calls Haley a creature of the oligarchs. And he would not vote for that ticket. He wouldn't advocate it against it strongly. Let's listen to Tucker.
Would you vote for Trump if he chose Nikki as VP? And
would you guys vote
no?
for Trump?
Well,
that's the question that I asked you specifically.
Well, I would not only not vote for that ticket, I would advocate against it as strongly as I could.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's just poison. I mean, here's someone who's actively opposed to the interests of the country I grew up in, who endorsed the BLM riots, and who is not only is not left, but is neoliberal in the darkest, most, speaking of nihilistic way, and has no real popular support. Is a creature of the oligarchs. So yeah, that would be reason to oppose the ticket.
Even Trump, Haley is a no-go.
Nikki Haley,
he would get assassinated immediately if that were the case.
Yeah, and by the way, I just can't imagine a world where that could happen. That would be so crazy. I mean, anything could happen, of course, but picking Nikki Haley, who's utterly treacherous and utterly dismissive of like the interests of Americans. Yeah.
It's a no-go for me, but it's a yes for BlackRock.
Okay, so what? They're just throwing out names now at this point. Christine, Carrie Lake? Who do you want? Who do you want, Tucker? Okay, he's saying no to Nikki Haley.
I agree.
Much of it has to do with the military-industrial complex relationship that she has. Do you think that there's any part of that where Tucker's saying no to Nikki Haley because he wants it to be him?
Oh, well, I guess that's always a possibility. I'm not sure that Donald Trump would make that selection, but I will say that Nikki Haley is the reason why politicians should wear NASCAR outfits, so that way we can identify the
who
sponsorship.
Their sponsor is.
Nikki Haley, brought to you by the Koch brothers. Nikki Haley, brought to you by Blackwater. Nikki Haley, and the list goes on. You got to trot out those corporate sponsorships.
It is the Kendall Casey Show. It's 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, the Colorado Supreme Court takes Trump off the ballot. Why they're wrong and what should be done about it. That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
It's hard to believe Christmas is Monday. And of course, Christmas is the celebration of the birth of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And this weekend, Life Church has so many great things going on, especially at their Noblesville campus. They've got incredible Christmas Eve services, and they've got Christmas Eve services. So if you've been looking for a new church home or even a first church home, Life Church would love the opportunity to meet and welcome you and your family this Christmas season. Campuses all across central Indiana, including Noblesville, Fishers, Eagle Creek, and Pendleton, in addition to awesome online services. Learn more about it all, lifechurchin.com.
Are your health insurance premiums making you sick? George and Megan at yourcoverage.net can help. George and Megan have helped countless individuals and families save 30 to 60% on health insurance with superior coverage. George recently saved a family of four $800 a month with the Aetna Network $0 deductible and $0 doctor office copay plan. This is not a government-sponsored health insurance plan. So if you're uninsured, recently lost your job, on COBRA, or are paying extremely high rates for Obamacare or your work coverage, George and Megan will help you if you meet the flexible guidelines for health insurance. Yourcoverage.net will provide you the best coverage at the lowest rate. Their goal is to give you peace of mind and the utmost in healthcare. Go to yourcoverage.net and see for yourself, or better yet, call George and Megan at 1-800-491-5500. That's 1-800-491-5500. Or go to yourcoverage.net. That's yourcoverage.net, a premium personalized healthcare plan managed and designed by you, not the government.
Attention taxpayers. If you or your business owe the IRS back taxes or have years of unfiled tax returns, the IRS has green-lighted billions of dollars in tax relief to those facing financial hardship through its tax relief initiatives. If you have a delinquent tax problem and possibly facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, audits, or already in a payment plan, you may now qualify for significant relief. Qualifying and enrolling in this program could stop all collections, settle your tax problem, and may even reduce what you owe by up to 99%. Call the hotline at Tax Help USA to see if you qualify by dialing 800-831-1510. If you or your business owe at least $10,000 in back taxes to the IRS or state, you can now get the help that you need during these hard economic times. Call Tax Help USA to get your free tax assessment to see what you qualify for by dialing 800-831-1510. 800-831-1510. That's 800-831-1510.
Liberty Mutual presents How to Be the Life of the Party.
Okay, first turn the music off. Then ask for everyone's attention. Now, tell them that you customized your home insurance with Liberty Mutual and saved hundreds. Boom! Now everyone knows you're not just a pretty face. You have some brains inside that face that know how to save hundreds on home insurance. Woo!
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com. Based on recent survey of new customers who switched and saved. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
Liberty, 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 liberty. The holiday season is here, and your shopping begins and ends at Premier Arms in Brownsburg. 3754 South Green Street, premierarms.com. You've got the firearms with Premier Arms, the accessories, all at fantastic prices, new and used firearms, and of course, PA Jewelers, the jewelry store inside Premier Arms with the one-of-a-kind jewelry selection, the diamonds, the gold, the silver, the gemstones, everything you want this Christmas season. Get a gift card today to Premier Arms. It is the gift that they will love this holiday season. PremierArms.com.
Christmas cheer is in short supply for our neighbors who are hungry, homeless, hurting. Today you can give them meals, shelter, and care with a gift to Wheeler Mission. You'll also provide addiction recovery, life skills, job training, and other vital care that transforms lives. Your gift is needed right now as hundreds of hurting people are turning to Wheeler Mission for help every day. Share Christmas cheer. Donate now at wheelermission.org. That's wheelermission.org.
Head to the WIBC.com contest page and enter for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Bad Religion plus Social Distortion on Friday, May 17th at Everwise Amphitheater. More info at WIBC.com.
10 minutes away from 12, it is the Kendall and Casey show on 93 WIBC. Ethan Hatcher in for Rob Kendall.
This isn't Rush Limbaugh. What is this?
He went back to Ohio. Carl's like, it's just
there's
it's
only
just bumper
one
music,
show.
man. It's just bumper
There's only
music.
one show that sounds like that, and that's Rush Limbaugh's show. I remember that when I was a kid.
So Tucker Carlson was at the Turning Point USA get-together, and he had a lot of things to say. We've been sharing some of it with you. But he had this one line, there's no painting in the Louvre that's half as beautiful as your dog's face.
I agree with that. He made some pretty good assertions about the connection with your quality of life and your well-being and the beauty that surrounds you. And we live in a society of decay, and it brings everyone down when you are surrounded by ugliness. So I really liked Tucker Carlson talking about these points. And though I disagreed with his assertion about the divine, because of course, as an atheist, I find lots of beauty and truth in life without the need for a divinity, but he made some good points. So let's roll the tape.
And anyone who bombards you with ugliness hates you. And we are being bombarded with ugliness, and we don't even notice. And what do I mean by that? I mean the physical landscape around us.
Yes.
This is the most beautiful country in the face of the earth, and I can say that with some, I think, certainty, having been to many, many countries. We have the best-looking country. And the way things look really matters. If you raise a child in an isolation room, what happens to the child? He becomes completely disabled. If you love your children, you raise them with lots of visual stimuli and beautiful things, so they will be inquisitive and bright-eyed and cheerful. The uglier you make an environment, the more you oppress the people who live in the environment. And it can't be accidental, because what is beauty? Beauty is truth. The truer something is, the more beautiful it is. The most beautiful things were made by God. Period.
Except for parasites, but whatever.
The most beautiful things are in no museum. They're nature. They're trees and leaves and grass. They're animals. They're your dog's face. There's no painting in the Louvre that's half as beautiful as your dog's face. That's not a sentimental statement. That's a reflection of fact. And if I'm lying, find one. There isn't one. And all great art is the closest approximation people can get to the things that God made.
The actual
That's
thing.
what it is.
And there's a
And the most beautiful thing of all, of course, is people. A person's face. I'd say a woman's face, but opinions may differ. But the human face is the most beautiful thing. So to the extent they deface that, literally deface that, to the extent they make our environment uglier, they're trying to hurt us, and they are serving evil.
And I think that connection was also well illustrated by a video about why modern architecture sucks that was created by Paul Joseph Watson, which is largely a condensation of a longer documentary that I would recommend everyone take the time to view, by a British philosopher, Roger Scruton, called Why Beauty Matters. And he talks about the connection between when your architectural and your community identity decays, so does your civil well-being. And this was also elucidated by Paul Joseph Watson. Let's play that.
Why should we care about the architecture that surrounds us? This isn't just about feeling aesthetically pleased by what we see. Buildings broadcast a message. Good and bad architecture can lift or subdue the human spirit. The architecture we leave behind also represents the legacy of our contribution to human history. The buildings we build directly impact our quality of life and the nature of the environment that surrounds us. And that's why this matters, because aesthetic ugliness encourages ugly behavior. Municipal pride evaporates.
Your ability to create places that are meaningful and places of quality and character depends entirely on your ability to define space with buildings in order to inform us who we are. And when you degrade the public realm, you will automatically degrade the quality of your civic life.
And that's why it's so important, as conservatives, we believe in protecting tradition, to conserve the architectural heritage of your community, because when it goes away, you contribute to the samification of our cultural identity, in fact, our global identity. And it's such a shame when you travel across the country and you see the same bog standard McDonald's, the same gas stations, the same Walmarts with the same layouts next to the Targets, and the same general style of subdivisions. And it's taken away municipal pride and cultural identity, and I believe directly contributes to the societal decay that we suffer from.
Yeah, and I agree with what Tucker said. We do have the most beautiful country. When you think about it, we've got the oceans, the lakes, the mountains, the plains, from sea to shining sea. We have everything. It's such a bountiful country and beautiful, and you're right, we need to keep it that way. And also, yes, I agree that there isn't a painting in any museum that's half as beautiful as your dog's face,
or your cat's face,
or your cat's face, or a person's face, because this is a living, breathing being, and life is always going to be much better than any inanimate object.
Love the way you phrase that.
Okay, Ethan, it's time for me to go because I'm taking a couple days off, but you and Brad Kloppenstein, you're going to hold down the fort for Rob and I, and we appreciate you doing that. Thank you so very much for filling in all week while we get a couple days to breathe.
Thanks for having me.
And we know that our listeners are going to stick with you because we're counting on that. So thank you, Ethan. Thank you, Carl. And you have a Merry Christmas. And we'll see you back here next week. Tony Katz is on the way next. This is the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
There was no downtown.
Mark Dietel has your back when it comes to getting your home sold. When it comes to finding you a new home, Mark Dietel is the only real estate agent